burp. He also wanted to give all his hidden treasures to Nian Nian. And he wanted her to see the house he had set up himself. I'll go to Hu City once I finish my work here. I'll wait for you. Xin Xiao hugged her tightly, holding her close without doing anything else. After a long time, he finally let go. Tang Nian Nian got off the car and watched it leave, regretting that she still hadn't figured out how to share her space. Morning arrived. The village buzzed with life, filled with the sounds of roosters, dogs, and people, all the warmth of human life. Tang Nian Nian had breakfast and then headed to the city to deliver goods to Director Wu. She also needed to visit the parrot. On the way, the villagers greeted her warmly, with a hint of flattery. Nian girl, going to the city for work again. Nian girl is getting prettier. Uncle Qingshan was right. Nian girl is truly blessed. The villagers were eager to curry favor, especially those who had spoken ill of Tang Nian Nian before. They were like fair-weather friends, quickly changing sides now that Qi Guohua was out of the picture. Tang Nian Nian nodded at a few elders, ignoring those fair-weather friends. Qi's father approached, carrying a hoe, looking dirty and disheveled. Since Qi Guohua was pulled out of the cesspool, he rarely went out. Woof! Spit! A few dogs rushed over, barking at Qi's father. The villagers were used to it, feeling that the Qi family was like the village's stray dogs, hated by all the dogs in the village, who watched them closely. The Qi family's gate was already foul-smelling, almost rotting from waste, and their neighbors were suffering too, constantly cursing. Qi's father frowned and quickened his pace, while a few dogs chased after him, barking. This farce played out daily. The Qi family couldn't go out without being chased by dogs. Tang Nian Nian watched the Qi family's embarrassment, a smile creeping onto her face, feeling very pleased. It would be easy to make the Qi family suffer, but it wouldn't ease her deep-seated hatred. She wanted to slowly grind them down with this dull knife. The first to suffer would definitely be Qi Guochun. Tang Nian Nian could already guess Qi Guochun's fate, either sold to a lonely old man in the mountains or to a dim-witted fool. Only then would Qi Guochun realize that Tang Laolu was actually a good match. She wasn't in a hurry. She would deal with these enemies one by one. Tang Nian Nian first went to the woods in the west of the city, a quiet place suitable for taking things from her space. She drove out the truck, and the parts were all processed with a zero-defect rate. She also took out a few wild rabbits. The rabbits in her space grew particularly fast, so she needed to eat them soon. She placed the wild rabbits and vegetables in the basket and drove to the Hongxing factory. It was now 9:30 in the morning, and the workshop was bustling with activity. The gatekeeper recognized her and knew she was now a formal worker at the factory director's prized possession. Nian girl is here. The old man greeted her warmly. Yeah, here you go. Tang Nian Nian handed him 2 cigarettes, as she always did when entering the factory. It's important to maintain good relationships, even with seemingly insignificant people. They might come in handy later. Although she didn't like socializing, that didn't mean she didn't understand it. The old man smiled widely, having a very good impression of Tang Nian Nian. Tang Nian Nian called the factory director's office from the communication room, asking him to send someone to collect the goods. I'll be right there. As soon as he arrived at work, Director Wu was waiting for a call. Today marked the 6th day since Tang Nian Nian had said she would contact him, and sure enough, the call came. The usually composed Director Wu jumped up in excitement. He first called the Quality Inspection Department to get the inspectors ready, then called the workshop to arrange for people to move the goods at the entrance. After making all the arrangements, Director Wu hurriedly rushed to the entrance, taking quick little steps. His thinning hair, which he had carefully styled with a damp comb, was now tousled by the wind, with each strand standing on its own. Normally concerned about his appearance, Director Wu didn't care at all. His heart was ablaze with excitement. He just wanted to touch those precious parts. Those were the key to his promotion. Nian Nian, you've worked hard. Come to my office for some tea. I even bought cake and chocolate. Director Wu's eyes squinted with joy as he called out, his voice overly sweet. The nearby workers were shocked and rubbed their arms in disbelief. They suspected that the director had been possessed, perhaps by a ghost. but they didn't dare to say anything. Exchanging stunned glances, they silently moved the parts, realizing once again how important Tang Nian was to Director Wu. Tang Nian followed Director Wu to the quality inspection department, and after the parts were checked, she planned to leave. After walking a few steps, she turned back to glance at the alley across from the factory, a slight smile on her lips. "Secretary Li, go get the cake and chocolate for my office." Director Wu instructed his secretary to fetch the snacks. He had specifically asked his daughter and learned that girls loved sweet treats. He spent several of his hard-earned savings on them. Tang Nian didn't refuse. Although she wasn't fond of snacks, she didn't mind free food. After they left, a man in the alley across from Hongxing Factory sighed in relief, wiping the sweat from his forehead. "Wow, that scared me," he muttered to himself, recalling how the beautiful girl had turned to look at him, her gaze so fierce it almost made him wet himself. "Why does that young girl have such a strong killing intent?" He mumbled quietly, glancing back at Hongxing Factory before heading back to report. After days of effort, he had finally uncovered the secret of Hongxing Factory. Today, he was there to confirm it. The factory's secret weapon was that beautiful girl. "Director, that girl is named Tang Nian. Her uncle is a temporary machinist at Hongxing Factory, but his skills are lacking. She got involved with Director Wu about half a month ago, and just before the delivery of parts from the shipyard, she brought in a truckload of components." Director Wu was grinning like a fool, flattering her so much he could hardly stand straight. "Tang Nian must be a level 8 machinist." The man reported honestly, speculating that Tang Nian was indeed a level 8 machinist. Although she was a bit young, machinist work often depended on talent, and she might just be a genius. Director Qian shook his head. "No, Tang Nian definitely isn't a level 8 machinist. She's likely a connector." It was highly unlikely for a rural girl to suddenly become a level 8 machinist. The most probable scenario was that Tang Nian knew several level 8 machinists and acted as a middleman. Director Qian, in his 40s and a few years younger than Director Wu, was tall and thin, with a shrewd look in his eyes filled with ambition. Although Director Wu seemed serious, he was actually quite soft-hearted and indecisive. In contrast, Director Qian, who smiled and appeared easy to talk to, was ambitious and decisive. "Find a way to get close to Tang Nian and invite her to our factory. Just tell her I'll pay double what Hongxing offers." Director Qian quickly made a decision. He had already lost to Hongxing twice. He needed to recruit talent and couldn't let Wu Songyuan feel proud. Moreover, he wanted to advance further, and for that, he needed impressive results. Tang Nian had to come to his factory. As lunchtime approached, the batch of parts was finally inspected. The results were as expected, all met the standards and were even more precise than the drawings required. "Nian, you're truly my treasure. Lunch is on me." Director Wu was so excited he rubbed his hands together, and his words became even more overly sweet. The others quietly lowered their heads, shivering at the awkwardness. No wonder they couldn't become directors. They didn't have the thick skin like him. They couldn't bring themselves to call a young girl their treasure. "Uncle Wu, I have things to do at noon. Let's eat together another time."
Tang Nian Decalin.
She realized that Director Wu was just putting on a show. In reality, he was broke and couldn't even afford tea. According to the factory workers, Director Wu had a strict wife who controlled him tightly. He only got 5 yuan for pocket money each month, and he had to think twice before buying a pack of cigarettes. She didn't want to eat the money he had saved from his teeth. Tang Nian wanted to take some newspapers, and Director Wu personally accompanied her to the office, stuffing her with all the newspapers from the past few days. "Uncle Wu, here's some game I caught in the mountains." Tang Nian pulled out 2 rabbits and some vegetables from her backpack, dropping them on the ground, then took the newspapers and left. By the time Director Wu realized what was happening and ran after her, she had already disappeared. "That girl runs pretty fast." Director Wu laughed and scolded, putting away the rabbits and vegetables. He planned to have his wife make braised rabbit for dinner, paired with a little wine. Sounds perfect. Tang Nian went to her uncle's house, where Tang Manin was eating lunch after getting food from the canteen. I'll go get some more vegetables. Wait for me. Nian Nian. Tang Manin tried to head to the canteen, but Tang Nian Nian stopped him. I'm going to eat at a restaurant. I brought some rabbits. Tang Nian Nian revealed 3 wild rabbits, a wild chicken, and some vegetables, creating a small mountain on the ground. Tang Manin was stunned. Uncle, I plan to move you to the electrical group. You don't have a talent for machining, but you've worked as an electrician in the village before, so it should be easier for you to learn. Tang Nian Nian explained her plan. Tang Manin had studied machining for a few years, but was still at a beginner level, clearly lacking talent. In her past life, Tang Manin had also become an electrician, finding a good master to learn from. However, he died in an accident while working. At that time, his wife, Jinju, was pregnant and couldn't handle the shock, leading to a premature birth. 1 death, 2 lives lost. Tang Dongqiang, their cousin, had to take on the responsibility, dropping out of school to support his sister as a temporary worker at the factory. But he also faced an accident, and the cheerful Tang Dandan never smiled again after that. As an orphan, Tang Dandan was treated poorly by her in-laws, often facing abuse. Eventually, she couldn't bear the mistreatment and committed suicide. The Tang family seemed cursed in her past life, with no one ending up well. Tang Nian Nian suspected that Lu Jinglan and the Zhou family were behind it all. She couldn't understand why Lu Jinglan and the Zhou family were so determined to pressure her and the Tang family. This mystery had to be solved. Tang Manin had some basic knowledge of electrical work from his time in Tang village, and Tang Nian Nian believed he would be more suited to being an electrician. Uncle, study hard to become an electrician, and this year I'll help you get a permanent position. Tang Manin's eyes lit up, and he nodded vigorously. Uncle, I'll go find Master Zhang and transfer to the electrical team. He needed to bring a rabbit as a gift. He had a good relationship with Master Zhang and had helped out in the electrical team before. However, if I go to the electrical team, no one will pay my salary. Tang Manin remembered a critical issue. His salary was paid by Xian Jinju's relative, the one with a herniated disc. They needed a machinist, and if he transferred to the electrical team, they definitely wouldn't pay him. Don't worry, I'll talk to Director Wu, and the factory will pay you. Tang Nian Nian reassured her uncle. This small matter would definitely be fine with Director Wu. Tang Manin immediately felt relieved, looking at his niece with admiration. His father was right. The family relied on Nian Nian to make a living. After giving her instructions, Tang Nian Nian left Hongxing factory. Her car was still parked at the factory gate, and she started the engine, heading towards the woods in the west of the city. Halfway, a man blocked her path. The man waved his arms frantically in the middle of the road, jumping up and down as if his life depended on it. Tang Nian Nian slammed on the brakes, rolled down the window, and leaned out, shouting, "Are you trying to get yourself killed? Comrade Tang, I'm here on behalf of Director Qian from the Jinjin factory. He wants me to tell you that if you come to our factory, your salary will be double what it is at Hongxing. Director Qian is waiting for you at the factory." The man rushed over, trying hard to persuade her. If he could bring back the treasure from Hongxing factory, his future would surely be bright. Director Qian sent you? Tang Nian Nian wasn't surprised. She had been expecting this. She knew her collaboration with Hongxing factory wouldn't stay secret for long. Director Qian was ambitious and capable, so he would definitely find out. Plus, she had already prepared her collaboration project with Jinjin factory. She wanted to benefit from both sides. Yes, it's Director Qian who sent me. Comrade Tang, why don't you come back with me now? Director Qian is waiting for you. The man was sweating. He couldn't believe she dared to call the director by his name. This girl was really bold, but she had real skills. Even if she called out to Director Qian, he wouldn't be angry. Get in the car. Tang Nian Nian didn't hesitate. She wanted to meet Director Qian, and being shy wasn't her style. The man was momentarily stunned, then overjoyed. He hadn't expected her to agree so readily. He thought he would have to make several trips. Wait, I'll move my bike. The man had ridden over, so he moved his bicycle to the trunk and sat in the passenger seat, admiring the soft leather of the seat. This car was much nicer than the ones at their factory. Tang Yanyan started the car and skillfully turned the steering wheel, heading towards Jinjin factory. The man beside her looked increasingly impressed. Her driving skills were better than the experienced workers at the factory. This young comrade Tang had great abilities. No wonder Director Qian wanted to recruit her at a high price. Zhucheng wasn't big. It took only about 10 minutes to reach Jinjin factory. The man called Director Qian from the reception, excitedly saying, "Director, I've brought Comrade Tang. Take her directly to the dining hall's private room. I'll be there shortly." Director Qian jumped up, looking thrilled. He called the dining hall, "Prepare a meal fit for city-level leaders for two." Once everything was arranged, he strode towards the dining hall, his smile growing wider, even wanting to hum a little tune. It was mealtime, and Tang Minyan followed the man to the second floor of the dining hall, to a private room for distinguished guests. Director Qian arrived quickly, extending his hand and warmly saying, "Comrade Tang, I've heard so much about you." Director Qian. Tang Minyan smiled and shook his hand, feeling positively about her first impression of him. He seemed like a person who got things done, unlike Director Wu. Director Wu had a more conservative nature, while Director Qian clearly had an aggressive personality. She preferred dealing with people like him. "Let's eat first. Our dining hall chef is quite good. The braised pork is a must-try. Comrade Tang, you have to taste it." Director Qian didn't mention work right away. As the dishes were being served, he started chatting. "I'm not bragging. No dining hall in Zhucheng can compare to ours. Our chef is someone I specifically brought over from a state-run restaurant. His ancestors were chefs at Luwai Lu, and he returned to Zhucheng after the war, making excellent Hangzhou cuisine." Director Qian spoke enthusiastically, and he was telling the truth. The food at Jinjin factory was so good that even provincial leaders praised it. The chef, surnamed Zhu, was someone he had lured away from a restaurant in Zhucheng for a high price. He believed that if you wanted the horses to run fast, you had to feed them well. If the food in the dining hall wasn't good, the workers wouldn't be motivated, which would directly affect production efficiency and his performance as a factory director. So, the first thing Director Qian did when he took office was to improve the dining hall. He would frequently inspect it, and anyone who dared to cut corners would be fired without hesitation. He even fired his wife's sister without mercy. To this day, his sister-in-law still gave him a hard time. The dishes were quickly served: braised pork, crucian fish tofu soup, stir-fried greens, and steamed 3 delicacies, 3 dishes and a soup, just enough for 2. The steamed 3 delicacies were delicious, and the soup was also great. During the meal, Director Qian didn't mention work, just encouraging Tang Minyan to eat more and make sure she was full, offering to refill her plate if needed. Tang Minyan was very satisfied with the food at Jinjin factory. It was indeed better than at Hongxing factory, especially the braised pork, which was rich but not greasy, lean but not tough, and the sauce was perfect for mixing with rice. The steamed 3 delicacies were also delicious, all handmade and exceptionally fresh. Moreover, Director Qian had excellent dining etiquette, always using serving chopsticks, which further improved Tang Minyan's impression of him. She finished all the dishes. Her appetite was 3 times that of Director Qian. Although he was surprised, he didn't show it, still smiling gently. "Did you eat enough, Miss Tang?" Director Qian's tone became more familiar, switching from Comrade Tang to Miss Tang, which didn't feel out of place. "I've had enough," burp. Tang Minyan couldn't help but burp. This meal was the most satisfying she had since returning. The chef from Luwai Lu really knew his craft. Director Qian's smile deepened. He was very perceptive and could tell that Tang Minyan was pleased with the food. He felt confident about discussing business today. "Miss Tang, you're straightforward. I won't beat around the bush. I want to invite you to Jinjin factory to guide our technology, with a salary that is double what you earn at Hongxing. What do you think? Do you know how much Hongxing pays me?"
Tang Nian cao tơ.
"I don't know, but no matter how much it is, Jinjin will pay double. The benefits at Jinjin will only be better than those at Hongxing."
You can rest assured about that.
Director Qian assured her with a smile. There was something he didn't say. With Wu Songyuan's character, he would be lucky to offer Tang Minyan 100 yuan salary. He guessed it was between 80 and 100. Anything more would be too bold for Wu Songyuan. 98 yuan, flexible working hours, at least 50 yuan in bonuses for completing tasks, and I get my own room. Tang Nian said this honestly, wanting to see how sincere Director Qian could be. The forward factory will give you a salary of 148 yuan, plus an additional 50 yuan in bonuses each month. For completing tasks, you can get at least 100 yuan in bonuses. You can choose any room in the forward factory dormitory. Director Qian offered benefits without hesitation. No matter when talent is money. As long as Tang Nian can bring in business, any cost is worth it. Tang Nian raised an eyebrow and asked deliberately, "Can I choose Director Qian's house? I'll have someone move out right now to make space for you." Director Qian remained calm. He would even be willing to offer his son if it meant bringing in someone as capable and beautiful as Tang Nian. If his useless son could get close to such an impressive girl, it would be a huge blessing for the Qian family. Director Qian is quite interesting. I don't need a house, and I have no problem cooperating with the Forward Factory, but I can't stop my collaboration with the Red Star Factory, since I promised Director Wu. Tang Nian made her stance clear. She had no intention of ending her partnership with Red Star. There are only 2 machinery factories in Zhucheng. Competition drives progress. If she only cooperated with one, how could she gain benefits? Only through competition can the rewards flow in. Director Qian's expression changed slightly. He intended to have Tang Nian all to himself, but this girl wanted to straddle 2 boats? That's too fickle. Miss Tang, one should be devoted. If you choose forward, you can't think about Red Star anymore. Director Qian's tone sounded a bit wronged, looking rather pitiful for a middle-aged man, which felt quite awkward. I'm full of energy. Even if you combine Red Star and forward, it won't be enough for me. Tang Nian explained seriously, as she also wanted to find partners in Zhucheng. Zhucheng was too small to meet her needs. With so many high-precision machines in her space and years of advanced technology, it would be a waste not to utilize them. Although she lacked conscience, she hoped for the country's prosperity and to connect with the international community sooner. Perhaps her small efforts could make a difference? Director Qian looked skeptical. How could one person handle 2 partnerships and satisfy both? Tang Nian noticed his doubts, stood up, and said, "I heard that the Forward Factory imported 2 large machines, but they have been sitting idle. Is that right?" "That's correct. These 2 machines are automated, but have been out of order for a long time." Director Qian frowned. Those 2 machines were a mess left by the previous director. He had been the deputy director of the Forward Factory and became the director 4 years ago. The previous director was a military leader who excelled in combat but lacked management skills. The old director had ambitious plans for the Forward Factory, but his efforts fell short. During his tenure, the factory was poorly managed and production efficiency was low, creating a chaotic environment. Those 2 imported machines were a mistake left by the old director, who, in a moment of weakness, spent a fortune on them, claiming they were the most advanced in the world and could process large parts with high precision. It sounded great, but the problem was no one knew how to operate them. The engineers who came to install them spoke foreign languages, and the translators were unhelpful. The 2 operators sent for training were relatives of factory officials, with barely a middle school education, and they couldn't even recognize the letters of the alphabet after a month of training. Once the foreign engineers left, the expensive machines sat unused. Every time Director Qian passed by, it broke his heart. That was a lot of money. When he was still the deputy director, he had been trying to contact major factories in Zhucheng, hoping they could send skilled workers for training. However, finding operators for such imported machines was difficult and time-consuming. Since they wouldn't come to him, he decided to send some promising young workers to Zhucheng for training, but something went wrong. After a few attempts, the machines broke down, and when engineers from Zhucheng came to fix them, they said some parts needed to be sent from abroad. The costs were outrageous, with small parts costing thousands of dollars, not including repair fees. Altogether, it added up to tens of thousands of dollars, which felt ridiculous for repairs. Director Qian held back his frustration, not wanting to let the Americans profit from this situation. He even offered a reward in the factory. Anyone who could fix those machines would receive a bonus of 1,000 yuan, but so far, no one had stepped up.
Sigh.
Now, whenever Director Qian went to the workshop, he deliberately avoided those two machines. They were too distressing to look at. After hearing Tang Nian's words, Director Qian reacted quickly, his face lighting up with hope. Miss Tang, do you have a way to fix these two machines? He shared the same thoughts as Director Wu, suspecting that Tang Nian had connections with skilled workers in Huqing, probably more than 10. Huqing was a small place, making it hard to find a skilled worker, but Huqing was much easier. There might be someone who could fix those machines. I'll take a look. Tang Nian didn't make any promises, but she was about 80% confident. As an electromechanical engineer, her job involved installation, debugging, and repairs, and she was quite skilled, especially in electrical work, though she was slightly less experienced with machinery. I'll take you there. Director Qian was overjoyed and excited, usually composed, but now he was practically skipping ahead, with Tang Nian following behind. She walked steadily, keeping a comfortable distance from him. The employees in the cafeteria stared wide-eyed, unable to believe that the man smiling so broadly was their usually serious director. He hadn't smiled like this even on his wedding night. They looked at Tang Nian, puzzled about her background. But one thing was certain, she was definitely not the director's romantic interest. Director Qian wasn't interested in women. He only cared about his position. Director Meng, finish your meal quickly and head to the second workshop. Bring Liu and Wang and the equipment team too. Director Qian called out from a distance. Liu and Wang were the operators, and the equipment team was responsible for maintaining and repairing the factory's machines. Director Meng, who was busy eating braised fish, nearly choked. He quickly finished his meal, wiped his mouth, and rushed to gather everyone, heading to the second workshop. Director Qian and Tang Nian had already arrived. Two massive machines took up half the workshop, covered in dust under plastic sheets. Director Qian climbed up to lift the plastic cover. Director, let us do it. Director Meng hurried over. Such dirty work shouldn't be done by the director. He called for help, and together they pulled off the plastic cover, filling the workshop with dust that made it hard to breathe. Tang Nian stepped outside for fresh air and came back in wearing a mask. Director, should we start it? Director Meng asked. Yes. Director Qian nodded. Just as Director Meng was about to call the operators, Tang Nian approached the control box and turned the start button. Director Meng's expression changed. This equipment was worth hundreds of thousands. How could a young girl just touch it? What if she broke it? Could she afford to pay? Even he, as the director, wouldn't dare touch these machines. Director Qian slightly shook his head at him, and Director Meng had to keep quiet, feeling even more confused about Tang Nian's background. In fact, Director Qian was also nervous, beads of sweat forming on his forehead as he clenched his fists, his palms sweaty. These machines were far more valuable than his life. If they were damaged, he couldn't afford it either. But he sensed that Tang Nian wasn't reckless, and her skilled operation didn't seem like a first-time encounter with imported equipment. He decided to take a gamble. If it worked, he would get promoted. If not, he would go home and grow sweet potatoes. Tang Nian accessed the machine's program. It wasn't fully automatic. These machines used PLC programming, making them semi-automatic. PLC programming is a required course in electromechanical studies. Even in the apocalypse, while most equipment was fully automated, there were still PLC machines. Some underdeveloped countries preferred to buy such machines because they were cheaper and allowed for more labor. After reviewing the program, Tang Nian realized what happened. An operator accidentally modified the instructions, causing the machine to malfunction. Didn't the foreign engineers tell you not to press this button? Tang Nian pointed at the button that modified the control program. One operator looked confused, while the other avoided eye contact, making it clear. Master Wang, why didn't you report this when you messed with the equipment? Director Qian understood immediately, furious. He had begged and pleaded for these machines, and now it turned out this idiot was the cause. I didn't mean to. I was just curious and touched it. I didn't know it would break. Master Wang was sweating and stammering in his defense. He had been worried for days about being found out for damaging the imported equipment. Luckily, no one had discovered it until now, and he had begun to relax. But this beautiful girl figured it out in just a few button presses. Master Wang was sweating profusely, terrified of punishment, his legs shaking. Director, I really didn't mean it. I just wanted to see what was inside. I had no idea it would cause a problem. Why didn't you report it? Director Qian suppressed his anger and questioned him. If this idiot had been honest from the start, the engineers from whose city might have fixed it, and these machines wouldn't have been down for over half a year, saving the factory a lot of losses. I was afraid you would scold me. Master Wang's voice got quieter. He was more afraid of being fired. Director Qian was strict. He wouldn't hesitate to fire even his own relatives. He was the pillar of his family, and without a job, his whole family would suffer. He was scared. If you make a mistake, you must take responsibility. If you had come forward, I might have let it go. Director Meng, he can't stay in the second workshop. Director Qian was already considering firing him. Someone who was careless and wouldn't take responsibility couldn't remain in the company. Director, please don't fire me. I really didn't mean it. I've worked hard for over 10 years for this company. Please let me off this time. Master Wang suddenly knelt down, grabbing Director Qian's leg and begging. Take him away. Director Qian's face was grim. Mistakes must be punished. Without rules, there's no order. If he didn't punish Master Wang, others would follow his example, and everyone would become careless. The machines were national property, and any ill-intentioned person could cause great harm. He couldn't be soft-hearted and keep someone with bad intentions. Director Meng called for help and had Master Wang dragged out. The workshop fell silent. Others looked at Tang Nian with caution. This young girl was impressive. The problem that the engineers from whose city couldn't find, she solved in just a few minutes. Amazing! Xiao Tang, are there any other issues with these machines?
Director Qian asked.
I need to check if the equipment has been maintained, Tang Nian replied. Having already fixed the program, she climbed onto the machine to inspect it. Before starting, she needed to check if it had oil, if the wiring and parts were in place, and if the screws in critical areas were tightened. Most importantly, she needed to ensure no one was around the equipment. It's been done. I supervised it myself, Director Meng quickly replied. Tang Nian finished her inspection and found the maintenance satisfactory. She returned to the control panel, entered the basic operation commands, and pressed the run button. The massive machine started running. Up, down, left, right, spinning. Every movement was smooth, just like when foreign engineers operated them. Director Qian was excited, his eyes shining brightly. After a round of operation, the machines were fine. Tang Nian also fixed the other machine, and both were working perfectly. All right, this button must never be pressed. It controls the machine's program, just like a brain. If it's tampered with, it will malfunction. Do you understand? Tang Nian reiterated, her tone cold, just like when she trained the operators before. She hated disobedient operators. As equipment operators, curiosity was the last thing they needed. They just had to follow the instructions strictly. Director Meng, did you hear that? Director Qian looked coldly at Director Meng. This month's bonus would definitely be deducted, and there would be fines. As the workshop director, he had to be responsible for his staff. I understand. I will definitely manage them well. Director Meng was sweating, furious with Master Wang for ruining everything. This month's bonus was definitely gone. Don't cover it with plastic. The equipment is fine, Tang Nian said casually as she went to wash her hands at the workshop entrance, having gotten some oil on them. There was a faucet at the entrance with soap and sawdust mixed together, which worked well for cleaning, though it was a bit tough on the hands. Tang Nian washed her hands clean and wiped them off casually. Xiao Tang, thank you for your hard work. Come to my office for a cup of hot tea. Director Qian warmly invited her, looking at her like she was a treasure. No matter the cost, he wanted to bring this girl into the factory. Not only did she have connections with skilled workers, but she was also a gem, someone who could fix imported equipment effortlessly. There were hardly any like her nationwide. The offices of Director Qian and Director Wu have very different styles. Director Wu's office is simple and frugal, with a scratch desk and two wobbly legs propped up with cardboard. Director Qian's office is more luxurious, with genuine leather chairs, a brand new desk, a portrait of the chairman on the wall, and shelves filled with quotes and management books. Even Director Qian's tea is premium Longjing, much better than the cheap tea of Director Wu. Both are directors, but the difference is huge. Xiao Tang, have some tea. Director Qian personally brewed tea and brought it to Tang Nian. Thank you. Tang Nian took the tea and set it on the coffee table to cool before drinking. Director Qian, I can collaborate with Qianjin Factory. You don't need to worry about conflicts with Hongxing Factory. Your development directions are different. Tang Nian got straight to the point, avoiding unnecessary talk. Xiao Tang, please explain more clearly. Director Qian showed a humble attitude, eager to learn more. Hongxing Factory mainly uses small machines for small parts. Qianjin Factory has only 2 large machines, but we can develop in that direction. For example, turbine factories often need large parts processed externally. If Director Qian can take on this business, Qianjin Factory's performance will surely improve. Tang Nian's words were not random. In her past life, she had worked for a machinery factory. That factory specialized in external processing for turbine factories, handling parts several meters in diameter. Few factories can process such large parts due to the high initial investment, which many owners cannot afford. However, the processing fees for these large parts are very high, almost a windfall. Just one bore can cost tens of thousands. If they can secure this work, Qianjin Factory will definitely stand out. Director Qian rubbed his hands together in delight. Tang Nian's words opened his eyes to new possibilities. Why compete with Hongxing Factory for small profits? He wants to grow big and strong, making Hongxing Factory envious, but unable to imitate. After all, Hongxing Factory lacks large equipment. Director Qian felt grateful to the former director for making a significant change. If it were now, he wouldn't dare to buy such expensive equipment, and the factory couldn't afford it. Xiao Tang, I can bring in the business, but as you can see, the skill level of my factory's workers is lacking. I can provide training, and I'll handle any equipment issues. Tang Nian spoke calmly. These were not problems for her. Moreover, for parts that require higher precision, I can help with processing. Tang Nian threw out another bait, which Director Qian couldn't resist. Sure enough, Director Qian's eyes lit up like diamonds, and he became very excited. He couldn't wait to rush to Hangzhou and Shanghai to discuss cooperation with turbine factories. Xiao Tang, from now on, you are a specially appointed talent at Qianjin Factory, with a salary of 148 and a monthly bonus of 50, plus additional bonuses. Director Qian was much bolder than Director Wu, agreeing to give Tang Nian her full salary and bonuses this month, along with 1,000 yuan bonus. He had promised 1,000 yuan to anyone who could repair imported equipment. This promise is always valid. Tang Nian was very satisfied and had a better impression of Director Qian. Director Qian was clearly someone who got things done, had courage, and was generous, making him a good partner for long-term cooperation. Without delay, Director Qian personally took Tang Nian to the HR department, arranged her work permit, and handed her 1,198 yuan. A thick stack of money made the finance department staff envious, wondering who Tang Nian was to receive such attention from Director Qian. Director Qian, I look forward to your good news. Tang Nian left her contact numbers for the Tang Village Committee and her new home, where she usually stays. The landlord of her newly bought house had returned to their hometown, and before leaving, they cleaned the place thoroughly. Tang Nian didn't change the locks and moved in directly. After a busy day at Qianjin Factory, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. She first went to her place, rested in her space for a while, and then went to find Ba Ge. Miss, I've been waiting for you for several days. I couldn't reach you by phone. Those 2 sock machines sold for 140. Ba Ge sighed in relief upon seeing her. He had been waiting for her. I got the scrap sock machines from Hong Xiu and Li Yun, a total of 100. They are all cleaned up. Where are they? Tang Nian asked. Ba Ji's yard definitely couldn't fit 100 sock machines. They're at the warehouse. I'll take you there. Ba Go excitedly led the way. The warehouse was in the suburbs, filled with goods he had collected, with dedicated staff guarding it. The warehouse was large, and the 100 sock machines were neatly arranged and cleaned. Tang Nian checked them and found they could all be improved. I want 30 machines. You can sell the rest after I fix them, and we'll split the profits as we agreed. Tang Nian wasn't negotiating with Ba Go. She intended to take 30 machines back to Tang Village to start a sock factory. Sure, it's your call. Ba Go agreed without hesitation, even though he felt a bit pained about the 30 machines' cost. But there was no choice. After all, the core technology was in her hands. Plus, with 70 machines left, each selling for 140, he could make nearly 10,000. His share would be 4,000. Besides Zhucheng, there are sock factories in neighboring Shengcheng, Yucheng, Chongcheng, and Hangcheng, adding up to about 1,000 machines. If he could get them all, he would make a fortune. Ba Ge became more excited, imagining stacks of cash flying into his pocket. Tang Nian was very pleased with his attitude. She didn't like people who were overly calculating. I'll come to pick up the goods at 7 tonight. After fixing them, I'll bring them back. Okay, I'll wait for you at the warehouse. Ba Ge happily agreed. Tang Nian returned to her place, entered her space to cook, using the firewood she had collected from the mountains. She killed a wild rabbit, made braised potatoes, stir-fried some vegetables, and cooked a pot of rice. She even made meat soup for her dog, and they both finished their meals. At 7 in the evening, Tang Nian drove to the warehouse, where Ba Ge and several of his men were helping load the sock machines onto the truck, managing to fit in 20 machines. I'll bring them back in 4 days. Tang Nian calculated the time. She could probably finish the repairs in about 4 days. Many people have asked about them. 30 machines are already reserved. Ba Ge couldn't stop smiling. This was much more profitable than what he made on the black market, and it required less effort. Miss, tomorrow I'll go to Hangcheng to collect more sock machines. Ba Ge shared his plan. You need to move quickly. Others are eyeing this opportunity too. Tang Nian warned him, reminding him that she wasn't the only one who could fix sock machines. The first person to improve sock machines was a master from Zhucheng. China has no shortage of talent. She wasn't necessarily better than others, just a few years ahead. I've checked the machines improved by others. They can only knit 40 to 50 pairs a day, not as many as ours, Ba Ge said confidently. Tang Nian's improved machines could knit 60 to 70 pairs a day, making her more efficient, which was his advantage over the competition. Do as you see fit. Tang Nian didn't interfere. Her job was to improve the machines. Miss, do you remember the serial killer I mentioned last time? They caught him. He's a sanitation worker. That dead dwarf was insane. Ba Ge suddenly brought up the perverted killer He Fashing, who was well-informed and knew more than the average person. Is he still alive? Tang Nian frowned slightly. Such a heinous criminal should be executed immediately, right? Why was he still alive? Execution? Nonsense. This jerk has a cousin who is the head of the gang, so he's not going to die. He's in the psychiatric hospital, living better than a landlord. Beige sneered, his expression sarcastic. The atmosphere suddenly turned cold. Beige and his men couldn't help but shiver, looking at her with respect. In that moment, the girl seemed ready to kill. Beige felt lucky that night in the small woods. She must have been in a good mood and spared his life. Can the police not handle the gang? Tang Nian's tone was harsh. Wei Zhongcheng had told her that He Fashing would definitely be sentenced to death, but now it was clear the police were losing to the gang. Beige scoffed, mocking, those gang members are crazy. They even target children and women. The police have families too. They can't confront these lunatics head-on. He continued, now the head of the gang is He Fashing's cousin, He Jisheng. This jerk has done terrible things and harmed many people. So, the criminal is in the psychiatric hospital now? Tang Nian asked. Yes, He Jisheng made arrangements for his cousin, giving him a private room and treating him well, Beige said angrily. That's not our concern. It's best to mind our own business and live long. Tang Nian looked indifferent. Beige choked a bit and awkwardly laughed. Right, we just need to take care of ourselves. Let's go. Tang Nian got into the car, slammed the door, started the engine, and quickly disappeared into the night. Beige and his brothers locked up the warehouse and went home. That night, Zhucheng was very quiet. But one place was still brightly lit. The police station. The criminal investigation team was there, along with the chief. Everyone looked grim, especially Wei Zhongcheng, whose face was darker than coal. 9 beautiful girls have been harmed by that jerk, and now he's living well. How can we face the badge on our shoulders? How can we justify the trust the people have in us? Chief, tell me, how am I supposed to explain this to the public? Wei Zhongcheng shouted at the chief, showing no respect. Others wanted to persuade him, but no one dared. At that moment, Wei Zhongcheng was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged, making him look terrifying. Comrade Wei, calm down. The chief's face was also dark. Wei Zhongcheng had just sprayed saliva on him. Did he want to let him go? He was just following orders from above. What could he do? I can't calm down. I feel guilty. Every time I close my eyes, I see those 9 victims. I can't find peace. Wei Zhongcheng yelled hoarsely, his eyes red. He understood that leaders have their own difficulties, but he was still furious. Why was he fauching this pervert, still alive? He should have been executed immediately. He was also angry that the leadership was dragging their feet. If they had listened to him, they could have sent him to court that day, had a trial the next day, and announced the execution. Now, He Fashing was already a corpse. But the chief insisted on following procedures, dragging things out to the current situation. I want to take a vacation. Wei Zhongcheng turned to leave, without saying how long he would be gone. The chief didn't dare to say anything. The criminal investigation team relied on Wei Zhongcheng, and he couldn't afford to offend him. Darn it. He felt more useless than anyone else as a chief. Darn it. Wei Zhongcheng stormed out, his heart burning with anger. He wanted to rush to the psychiatric hospital and kill He Fashing right now, but he held back. He was a police officer. He had to follow the law and not act recklessly. As night deepened, the lights in the police station went out, and Zhucheng became unusually quiet. Zhucheng didn't have a psychiatric hospital, but there was one in the neighboring Shaocheng, about 40 to 50 miles away. A motorcycle sped down the dark road. It was Tang Nian. At this late hour, there wasn't even a ghost on the road, so she could ride her motorcycle without worry. At 2 in the morning, she arrived at the psychiatric hospital. The hospital was dark. Both patients and doctors were asleep. Tang Nian wasn't familiar with a hospital layout, but that was okay. She could take her time. Dressed in dark clothing and wearing a hood that only showed her eyes, nostrils, and mouth, she was ready. The hospital's walls had electric fences, but that didn't stop her. Tang Nian put on insulated gloves, took out wire cutters, and cut through the fence, easily climbing over the wall. The hospital had 4 floors, and she went straight to the 3rd floor. Based on the hospital's layout, the 1st floor usually had consultation rooms, and the 2nd floor likely didn't have private patient rooms. In modern hospitals, private rooms were usually on the top floor. The iron door to the 3rd floor ward was locked, but Tang Nian took out a wire and easily picked the lock. She didn't go inside, because there was a man standing at the iron door, his eyes shining in the darkness. Sky King covers the earth tiger. The man suddenly spoke. Pagoda suppresses the river monster, Tang Nian instinctively replied. Has the organization finally sent you to get me? I'm always ready, and I have secret documents hidden that no one knows about. The man's voice trembled with excitement. Tang Nian twitched her lips but cooperated, saying, The organization knows your hard work and sent me to check on you. She took out a piece of candy and handed it to the man. The man looked thin and malnourished, clearly not well fed. Thank you for the organization's trust. The man beamed, unwrapped the candy, and stuffed it into his mouth, looking at Tang Nian with admiration, like a child looking at his mother. The organization wants to know where the new arrival, the one in the private room, is. Tang Nian thought of a plan. This man surely knew where He Fashing was. 4th floor, I'll take you there. The man led the way, but the fourth floor was also guarded by iron doors. Tang Nian took out the wire again and picked the lock. "Xiaoer, did you come to see me?" A voice echoed in the darkness. Another man appeared like a ghost. "Here's some candy." The man from the third floor pulled out half a piece of candy and stuffed it into the mouth of the man on the fourth floor. "Xiaoer, you're so nice." The fourth floor man was overjoyed, happily sucking on the candy. Tang Nian almost grimaced. Both of them were named Xiaoer. No wonder they say psychiatric hospitals are full of talent. It's true. She pulled out a handful of candy and 2 chicken legs, giving them all to the men. "Xiaoer, I love you." The fourth floor man looked at Tang Nian with deep affection, his sticky gaze sending shivers down her spine. Tang Nian felt grossed out and hurried away. She didn't want to mess with the mentally ill. The 2 men divided the candy and chicken legs, directing Tang Nian to where He Fashing was in the innermost private room. Tang Nian picked the lock with the wire. Moonlight streamed through the window, illuminating the bed, and there lay He Fashing, sleeping soundly. Moreover, the private room was clean and tidy, like a guest house. Tang Nian approached the bed, and He Fashing suddenly opened his eyes. Before he could scream, she knocked him out, hoisting him over her shoulder and striding out. "Xiaoer, are you leaving?" The man on the fourth floor said reluctantly. "Leader, I still have confidential documents to hand over to the organization," the man on the third floor replied mysteriously. Tang Nian followed him to the third floor. After a while, the man excitedly ran back, holding his treasure, and seriously handed the confidential documents to her. It was a few newspapers chewed up by mice. "This document is very important, comrade. The organization has assigned you a new task," Tang Nian said with a serious expression and tone.
"Please tell me."
The man on the third floor puffed out his chest, looking excited. "This man is a traitor. I need to take him back to clean up the mess. Please keep this a secret and do not reveal your identity."
"Can you do that?"
"Yes, you can trust the organization." The man on the third floor nodded vigorously, determined to complete the task assigned by the organization. Tang Nian then took out a large handful of milk candies and handed them over. "Activity funds from the organization." The man's eyes instantly lit up, and he hugged the milk candies like a treasure, watching Tang Nian leave. After she left, he and the man on the fourth floor closed the door to the fourth floor room and locked the iron doors between the third and fourth floors, making everything look normal. As for the milk candies, they divided them and hid them in their secret base. Tang Nian drove back to Zhucheng and went straight to He Jisheng's house. He Jisheng lived alone in a garden villa that used to belong to a capitalist. Tang Nian easily opened the iron gate, and 2 fierce dogs rushed at her. He Jisheng raised 2 large dogs, feeding them raw meat every day. The dogs were shiny and well-fed, serving as his bodyguards. The dogs, with their red tongues and bloodshot eyes, silently attacked Tang Nian from both sides. Tang Nian stood still and released Bai Sui. Bai Sui crouched down and let out a low growl, instantly calming the 2 large dogs, which lay down on the ground, too scared to move. Tang Nian first went to the second floor and drugged the sleeping He Jisheng. Seeing his appearance, even with her strong mental fortitude, she was taken aback. His face was covered in burn scars, his nose had only 2 holes left, and his eyes and mouth were deformed. His appearance could scare anyone in broad daylight. The parrot said that He Jisheng had fallen into a furnace as a child, ruining his looks. Like He Fashing, he was not favored at home. After He Fashing started working, he took He Jisheng in and cared for him a lot. Tang Nian did not harm He Jisheng. He hadn't directly offended her yet. She would deal with him later if he did. He Fashing was awakened by pain. He wanted to call for help but couldn't make a sound because he had lost his tongue. The intense pain made him very alert, and in the dim light of night, he saw a figure in black standing in front of him. Tang Nian took a few steps back. Behind her were the 2 large dogs, their eyes glowing green in the darkness. Her space was stocked with various medicines since she had collected from several pharmacies. She had just given the fierce dog some medicine. The bright moon hung in the sky, casting a clear light on the grass, while a chaotic battle unfolded. Tang Nian watched coldly, her expression calm. This was nothing. She had seen much worse in the apocalypse. In the apocalypse, strength is revered. The weak are not considered human. Regardless of gender, if you are weak, you can only be slaughtered and humiliated. The moon hid behind the clouds and then reappeared as time passed. Dawn broke. The sound of bells rang from the building. It was 4 a.m. The chaos stopped. Tang Nian walked in front of the lifeless He Fashing, looking down at him. He Fashing had not lost consciousness. He was in too much pain. Every inch of his skin and every bone ached, stimulating his nerves. He slowly opened his eyes as dawn broke, and he vaguely saw a slender figure dressed in black, her face unclear. Yeah. He Fashing struggled, wanting to ask who this person was and why she was treating him so cruelly. But without his tongue, he could only make muffled sounds, and with every sound, blood dripped from the corners of his mouth, making him look hideous, like a demon. Tang Nian's lips curled coldly as she took out a bottle of beast lure, a creation from the apocalypse that could attract wild animals, including dogs. She sprinkled the lure on He Fashing, and as soon as she finished, the 2 dogs excitedly pounced on him. Yeah. He Fashing let out a miserable cry, desperately trying to fend them off, but his fists were no match for their 8 legs, especially when the dogs were stimulated. Half an hour later, He Fashing lay still on the ground, lifeless, with no part of him uninjured. His eyes were wide open, filled with fear and despair. Voices and car sounds filled the street. It was 5 o'clock. Tang Nian no longer cared about the corpse on the ground. She had lost track of time. Carrying a body to the park would surely attract attention, so she decided to leave it in He Jisheng's yard. Fortunately, He Jisheng's yard was far from the city, with no neighbors around. At this time, it was deserted. Tang Nian entered her space, changed into casual clothes, and came out with her bicycle. She rode away, found a secluded spot, and entered her space again to cook a big bowl of egg noodles to eat before going to sleep. She slept until noon, and when she woke up, she made a large pot of wild chicken stew with mushrooms and ate until she was full before leaving her space. In the distance, she could hear a bustling crowd near He Jisheng's house. Tang Nian didn't go straight there. Instead, she rode her bike to the foot of the nearby mountain and picked a big bunch of bright red azaleas. At this time of year, the azaleas were in full bloom and could be seen everywhere. She placed the azaleas in her bike basket before heading to He Jisheng's house. From a distance, she could see a crowd of people, and the air was thick with the smell of blood. It's terrifying. The bodies are unrecognizable. Those 2 dogs have gone mad. I said long ago that those 2 dogs would cause trouble sooner or later. Now, their owner is getting what he deserves.
Good.
He Fashing killed 9 women. He was behind that serial case last year. He should have been executed long ago, but He Jisheng protected him. This death is too easy for him. It's like the gods are punishing him.
Shh. Keep it down.
He Jisheng will hear you. The crowd whispered among themselves, feeling a sense of satisfaction. He Jisheng had bullied the villagers for years, committing many wrongs. The people were angry but afraid to speak out. They wished He Jisheng were the one who had died. My brother is locked up in a mental hospital. How could he be in my yard? Someone is deliberately opposing the party and the people, stirring up class struggle. You police must catch this reactionary. He Jisheng's desperate roar echoed, revealing his fear. The first person to discover his cousin's body was one of his subordinates. Last night, he had slept deeply for the first time in years, waking up just before 10. He was supposed to lead a meeting at 9, but when his subordinates waited and he didn't show up, one of them came looking for him and found the body lying on the lawn. That subordinate was so scared he nearly wet himself, screaming and waking him up. His first reaction upon seeing the body was fear. He suspected the murderer was still hiding nearby, targeting him. Killing his cousin was a warning he could be next. He Jisheng was filled with extreme fear, which turned into anger directed at Wei Zhongcheng and the others. You have so many talented people in your group. Our criminal investigation team is limited and can't solve such a big case. Wei Zhongcheng replied with a sarcastic tone, feeling very pleased. Just yesterday, he had a big argument with the director and was planning to take a few days off. Today, he had a rare lazy morning, even rekindling romance with his wife, only to get a call from the director telling him to hurry back to investigate. He was about to complain when the director said, He Fa Sheng is dead, found in He Zhixing's house. Wei Zhongcheng perked up immediately, returning to work without hesitation. Upon arriving at the crime scene, his mood improved even more. He Fa Sheng had died a terrible death. What a relief! Wei Zhongcheng and his colleagues felt great. Even knowing the means were illegal, the outcome was satisfying, and they didn't want to investigate this case. So, when they heard He Zhixing's angry shouts, Wei Zhongcheng didn't hold back and retorted, even threatening to quit. Director He, you've taken our cases before, so why don't you handle this one yourself? We're just not capable enough to manage it. Wei Zhongcheng snorted and called his colleagues to leave. He Zhixing's expression changed, his teeth grinding in frustration. He wanted to kill Wei, but he needed him to solve the case. Wei was the best investigator in the city. He had to catch the murderer and get revenge for his cousin. Captain Wei, please don't be angry. I was rude just now. I'm very close to my cousin, and I feel terrible about his brutal death. I lost control of my temper. Please forgive me. He Zhixing softened his tone, sounding pitiful. Those who didn't know the truth might actually feel moved by their brotherly bond. Captain, the murderer is 2 dogs. The wounds on Wei Zhongcheng were caused by dogs. The coroner stood up to share his findings. However, he withheld some details. For instance, the victim's tongue was first cut off with a sharp object and then bitten to pieces by the dogs. Also, there was a scent on the victim's body that excited the dogs, which was the main reason they went wild. The coroner didn't want to elaborate. He hadn't eaten enough breakfast and was tired. Wei Zhongcheng shrugged and said loudly, Director He, did you hear that? The murderers are your 2 dogs. This case is closed.
Impossible.
My dogs are very well behaved. They wouldn't bite my cousin. Besides, my cousin is locked up in a mental hospital 30 to 40 miles away. How could he be in my yard? He Zhixing's voice rose, and his anger grew. These people were treating him like a fool. It was infuriating. I don't know if He Fa Sheng was in the mental hospital or at your house. Logically, he should be in prison. Director He, this is all we could find. The murderers are your 2 dogs. Wei Zhongcheng said coldly, mocking him. He knew it was suspicious for He Fa Sheng to suddenly appear in that yard, but it was none of his concern. He Fa Sheng should have been executed anyway. This outcome was great. He didn't care about the process. He was too full from breakfast and tired. Let's wrap this up, Director He. Will you send the body to the crematorium, or should I send someone? Wei Zhongcheng asked politely. He was in a good mood and willing to help. No need, Captain Wei. He Zhixing gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with malice. Wei Zhongcheng left happily with his colleagues. The onlookers dispersed, eager to share this big news with friends and family. They could talk about it for at least half a month. Tang Nian rode her bike slowly, the big bunch of azaleas at the front contrasting beautifully with her lovely face, making her stand out in the crowd. He Zhixing spotted her immediately, his eyes filled with greed. He couldn't believe such a beautiful young woman existed in Zhucheng. How had he never noticed her before? Captivated by Tang Nian's beauty, He Zhixing quickly forgot his anger over his cousin's death and only wanted to pursue her. Director, should I go find out more about her? One of his loyal subordinates, good at reading the room, immediately offered to help. Sure, be polite. He Zhixing nodded slightly, showing patience for beautiful women. He looked back at Tang Nian, his face twisted with greed and lust, making him look disgusting. Tang Nian sensed his gaze, turned around suddenly, and met the ugly man's eyes. She felt his vile intentions but wasn't afraid. She just felt disgusted. If that ugly man dared to approach her, she would welcome it. It would be a good opportunity to practice. Tang Nian silently sneered, plucking an azalea, biting off the stamen, and spitting it out. She ate the petals, which were sour and made her frown, but it reminded her of her childhood. Miss Tang. As they approached the city, Wei Zhongqing saw her and waved, calling out, "Captain Wei, what are you doing here?" Tang Nian pretended to be surprised and rode over to Wei Zhongqing and his colleagues. "Did you go up the mountain because your tire blew?" Wei Zhongqing asked with a smile. With so many rhododendrons, she must have gone to pick them. Young girls love flowers and plants. "Yeah, I picked some rhododendrons for a vase. Do you have a tire repair kit? I'll go get it. It will be here soon. Next time, go to the mountain in the east for rhododendrons, not the west. It's not safe there," Wei Zhongqing advised. He was worried about Tang Nian because He Jixing lived in the west. That guy was like a dog seeing a bone when he spotted a pretty woman, and Wei was concerned he might harm her. "Okay, I'll go to the east next time." Tang Nian obediently agreed, but she would still find time to go to the west. She needed to give He Jixing a chance to make mistakes. "I have good news. He Fashing is dead," Wei Zhongqing said cheerfully. "I just saw that. Bad people get their comeuppance. Captain Wei, do you want some rhododendrons? They're really tasty." Tang Nian remained calm and insisted on giving some rhododendrons to Wei Zhongqing and his colleagues. She picked a few for herself, pulled off the petals, and stuffed them in her mouth. At first, they were a bit sour, but then they turned sweet and were quite tasty. Only young girls like this stuff. "I don't eat flowers." Wei Zhongqing found it amusing. A grown man eating flowers was ridiculous. "They look great in a vase. Let's go." Tang Nian waved and rode away. "Brother Wei, is that the girl who caught He Fashing that night? She's really pretty and brave." One colleague laughed. "She can curse too. I think she was trying to lure him out that night." Another colleague, who was at the scene that night, felt that Tang Nian seemed to be intentionally drawing the killer out. After all, what pretty girl would be out walking at night? Since the murder case, girls in Zhucheng were afraid to go out during the day, let alone at night, unless they had to work night shifts. Holding the rhododendrons, Wei Zhongqing's expression suddenly changed as he had a thought. He looked deeply in the direction Tang Nian had left, his gaze becoming serious. Many killers like to return to the crime scene. Could it be that Tang Nian was one of them? Wei Zhongqing's heart raced, and he shouted at his two colleagues, "What do you mean she was fishing for him? She's just a young girl. She wouldn't have that kind of courage. Don't say that again. If He Jixing hears it, it could be dangerous." "We won't say it again." The two colleagues quickly shut up, realizing how beautiful Tang Nian was. If He Jixing set his sights on her, it would be a disaster. And Wei was right. No matter how brave a girl was, she wouldn't dare to confront a serial killer in the middle of the night. It must have been a coincidence that night. Back at the office, Wei Zhongqing gave the rhododendrons to a female colleague and went to report to the director. The killer is two dogs raised by He Jixing. He Fashing's fatal injury was to his throat, where the dogs bit through his artery, causing him to bleed to death. Why was He Fashing in He Jixing's yard? The director wasn't easily fooled and asked directly. Wei Zhongqing shrugged. Who knows? Maybe He Fashing was never sent to the mental hospital and was living with He Jixing all along. The director gritted his teeth and whispered angrily, "Do you think I'm stupid, or do you think He Jixing is? You come up with such a poor excuse? This is the truth. Otherwise, how do you explain it?" Wei Zhongqing rolled his eyes, showing no respect for the director. If the criminal investigation team couldn't handle it, he would go to the armed forces. If he wasn't welcome here, he would find another place. Enough, just get out. The director waved his hand impatiently, wanting him gone. Then I'll write the case report? Wei Zhongqing stood up. Get lost. The director clenched his teeth, grabbing a teacup, wanting to throw it but hesitating because it cost him money. Wei Zhongqing walked out confidently. When the director said to leave, it meant he agreed. As for how to report to higher-ups, that was the director's business. Neither the director nor Wei Zhongqing knew that He Jixing had gone to the mental hospital. His cousin wouldn't just run away. It was likely that someone inside the hospital was in cahoots to help him escape. The director called in the doctor and nurse on duty that day, along with two patients who often wandered at night. If Tang Nian were there, She would recognize these two as the troublemakers from the third and fourth floors. I won't give in. Even if you kill me, I won't betray my comrades. The man from the third floor held his head high, fists clenched, refusing to yield. You bullied my friend. I'll fight you. The man from the fourth floor trembled violently upon seeing He Jisheng, recalling something terrifying. He lunged at He Jisheng in a fit of rage. The doctor and nurse on duty said it had been a calm night with no incidents. As for the cut electric fence, the mental hospital had its own explanation. Our hospital has all kinds of talents, from pilots to tank drivers, and even those who can make explosives. Don't underestimate us. Last year, a patient almost blew up the hospital. Director He, please accept my condolences. He Jisheng returned defeated. He could only bully people in Zhucheng. The mental hospital belonged to Shaocheng, and he had no authority there. Tang Nian stayed in the city for 4 days, mostly fixing her sock machine in her space, without stepping outside. She was unaware that He Fashing's death was the talk of the town, with various versions circulating, but the main storyline was consistent. Bad people get their comeuppance. He Fashing did many evil deeds, and heaven couldn't stand it, so it sent 2 dogs to enact justice. Shoo, don't say such things. Superstition is not good. We're just talking among ourselves. You won't report me, right? If anyone dares to report me, I'll say you all said it. We won't. If anyone reports, they'll marry a wife with a beard and have sons without skin. Everyone swore an oath and then happily gossiped. Beige also heard the news and learned that He Fashing died in He Jisheng's yard, killed by the 2 dogs he raised. Upon hearing this, his first thought was that Tang Nian was involved. 4 days ago, when he mentioned He Fashing to Tang Nian, she had asked about He Jisheng. He told her everything. Then that night, He Fashing died, and it was gruesome. If this had nothing to do with Tang Nian, he'd eat dog poop upside down. Standing in the yard, Beige felt a chill despite the bright sunshine. Tang Nian was even more ruthless than he had expected. Even the small leader of the Axe Gang he once joined wasn't as fierce as she was. If she had been born before liberation, those traitors and devils would have had no place to hide. Beige let out a long breath, grateful that Tang Nian hadn't gone all out that night and spared his life. From now on, he would do whatever Tang Nian said, never daring to have any second thoughts. He would just hold on tight to her and follow her wherever she went. Brother Ba, Miss Tang called and asked us to go to the warehouse. A brother ran over, excited. Brother Ba perked up and called his men to head to the warehouse, where he spotted Tang Nian's truck from a distance. Is it fixed? Brother Ba's eyes lit up. With 20 sock machines, they could earn another 2,008. This deal was too profitable. Yes, have them unload it, then load up 20 more. Tang Nian's expression was calm. Hey, miss, please sit down, have some tea and snacks. Brother Ba's respect grew even more, overly flattering. He personally brewed tea, brought out snacks, and offered his special recliner to Tang Nian. Tang Nian glanced at him and lay down without hesitation, sipping her tea. While the brothers unloaded the sock machines, Brother Ba quickly reported on their recent performance. I went to Hangzhou and contacted 2 sock factories. The people there are tough. They won't settle for 10 but insist on 20. I'll negotiate for 15. As long as the cost stays under 100, there's profit. Once these sock machines hit the market, the factories will definitely raise prices. Get all the machines you can. Tang Nian thought 20 was acceptable. Prices would surely rise later. Sock factories weren't foolish. Okay. Brother Ba nodded. Even at 100 cost price, there was still a 40 profit, which was quite good. Miss, there's one more thing. He Fashing died 4 days ago. Brother Ba said this, while observing her closely. That's good news. Tang Nian didn't even flinch, calmly sipping her tea and taking a bite of cake. Exactly. That scoundrel got what he deserved. Brother Ba quickly agreed, secretly admiring her composure. This was definitely the daughter of the Axe Gang leader, raised with courage and skill. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such guts. Once the sock machines were unloaded, Tang Nian finished her tea and stood up. Deliver them in 4 days. Tang Nian drove away. Brother Boss stroked his chin, gazing obsessively at the 20 repaired sock machines, his eyes shining brighter. Tang Nian drove to the woods first, parked her car, and rode her bike back home. From a distance, she saw Tang Man-in pacing at the door. After moving in, Tang Nian had brought her uncle to see the place, but didn't mention it was hers, saying it belonged to Xin Xiao. Grandma Tang also knew about the house and had a better impression of Xin Xiao because of it. Finally, Nian, you're back. I couldn't reach you on the phone. Director Wu is looking for you urgently. Hurry. Tang Man-in sighed in relief upon seeing her and pulled her along. Director Wu had been searching for his niece. He called 3 times but couldn't reach her, so he came to find her himself. What's the urgent matter? Tang Nian remained calm and had a hunch. Her collaboration with Director Qian couldn't have escaped Director Wu's notice. He was likely looking for her about that. I don't know. Director Wu just asked me to find you. He doesn't look happy. His face is as dark as coal. Tang Man-in was anxious, worried his niece might get into trouble. He couldn't help but ask, Nian, you haven't done anything bad, have you? Uncle, what bad thing could I do? Tang Nian rolled her eyes at him. How could someone as kind as her do anything wrong? Tang Man-in choked back his words. He wanted to mention her mischievousness as a child but didn't dare, so he reluctantly fell silent. This girl had always been trouble, getting into mischief. If he counted, he couldn't even remember all the bad things she had done. For example, there was a gossiping woman in the village who often spoke ill of his mother. One time, while that woman was in the toilet, this girl threw a stone into the pit, splashing foul water everywhere. The outdoor pit in their rural home was quite deep, about 10 meters. Also, this girl had a daring side. During the New Year, while other kids lit firecrackers by the river or the pit, she chose to light them by her mother's pickled vegetable jar, which was her mother's favorite. It exploded into pieces, making her mother so angry she didn't eat for 3 days. If he counted, there were countless incidents. Tang Man-in sighed. Anyway, the director is in a bad mood. Just be careful. Tang Nian didn't respond. Director Wu's mood had nothing to do with her. She wasn't a professional at comforting people. She wanted to discuss a raise with Director Wu. At Hongxing Factory, although Tang Man-in feared Director Wu, he still mustered the courage to accompany his niece to meet him, thinking he could intervene if the director got angry. Director Wu paced in his office, hands on his hips, his hair unkempt and messy. He had just learned that Tang Nian had gone to Tianjin Factory, not only dining with Director Qian but also fixing 2 imported machines there. He also found out that Tang Nian was now a specially appointed talent at Tianjin Factory. This girl was playing both sides. What about his reputation? Director, Miss Tang has arrived. The secretary reported. Let her in. Director Wu took a deep breath, trying to suppress his anger. He couldn't be mad. Tang Nian was a talent, and he needed to win her over. Tang Nian strode in confidently, completely unfazed by Director Wu's dark expression, and sat down casually. Uncle Wu, did you need something? Nian, don't you have anything to say? Director Wu was initially furious, but seeing her changed his anger into a sense of grievance. His gaze was more sorrowful than a concubine who had been in a cold palace for 20 years, looking at Tang Nian as if she were a heartless person. Tang Nian shivered and rubbed her arms, bluntly saying, Uncle Wu, please speak properly. An oily, bald old man acting like a white lotus was unbearable. Director Wu gritted his teeth and said irritably, You just left Hongxing and went to Tianjin. Tang Nian, you're playing both sides. Tang Man-in, who had been quietly observing, widened his eyes in disbelief. His niece went to Tianjin?
How did he not know?
Did Tianjin also offer a salary of 98? Uncle Wu, have I delayed any production tasks at Hongxing? Tang Nian asked directly.
Well,
not really, but you're part of Hongxing. Director Wu's expression was still sulky. He felt betrayed. I'm a person of the country, Uncle Wu. You need to think bigger. Tang Nian criticized him without reservation. Don't give me that. I'll raise your salary if you focus on Hongxing. Your uncle will get a formal salary next month, and he'll be officially confirmed in July.
How about that?
Director Wu wasn't falling for it. To keep Tang Nian, he rarely showed determination and promised a bunch of benefits. Tang Manin, who had only sat on half the chair, nearly fell off, his eyes shining. He could finally be confirmed? After 5 years of dreaming, it was finally coming true. Excited and surprised, Tang Manin wished he could agree for his niece, but he stayed silent. He knew he couldn't decide for her. Tang Nian calmly said, Director Qian offered me a salary of 198.
Bang!
Tang Manin finally fell off his chair, his eyes wide. He now had only one thought. Should he go to Tianjin with his niece? Director Wu was also shocked. He guessed that the salary from the Forward factory wouldn't be low, but he didn't expect it to be so high. 198 yuan was even more than Director Qian's salary. That Qian really knows how to spend money. He looked at Tang Nian in surprise, not understanding why Director Qian would offer such a high salary. Although this girl knows a lot of skilled workers, she is just a successful intermediary, right? Why such a high salary? Tang Nian saw through his confusion and calmly said, The Forward factory has 2 imported machines that broke down. I fixed them, and Director Qian thinks I'm a rare talent, so he offered me a high salary. He also said he wouldn't stop me from collaborating with the Red Star factory. It's all for the country's development. Just as Tang Manin sat down, he fell again. His niece can fix imported machines? Is this girl really going to the top? Director Wu was so shocked that his few bald spots stood up. He blurted out, You fixed that machine? You didn't just find a master to do it? He only heard that the machine was repaired and thought it was a master from whose city that Tang Nian hired, but it turned out she did it herself. Could this girl really be a level 8 electrician? Director Wu was startled by his own thoughts. This girl is only 17. Even if she learned electrical work in her mother's womb, she couldn't possibly reach level 8. But the fact is right in front of him. This young girl fixed the imported equipment. At first, Director Qian even invited a master from whose city to repair it, but there was no result. This girl is even better than the engineers from whose city. Director Wu suddenly understood why Director Qian offered a salary of 198. Such a valuable talent is worth any amount. Uncle Wu, working at Forward, doesn't conflict with Red Star. The 2 factories have different development directions. Tang Nian repeated the reasons she gave to Director Qian. Red Star mainly processes small parts and can't handle large ones, while Forward will focus on large components. There won't be any conflict between the 2 factories. Our Red Star can also process large parts, Director Wu insisted, not wanting to back down. Does Red Star have large equipment? Tang Nian shot back, shutting him down. With nothing to back it up, he was being unrealistic. We can buy it later. Director Wu muttered quietly, but he lacked confidence. Tang Nian didn't bother with him. A large piece of equipment isn't cheap, and Director Wu doesn't have the guts for it. Uncle Wu, if you can make small parts precisely, you can have a place in the machinery industry. Your goals and Director Qian's are different. There's no need to compare. How are we different? Director Wu was curious and couldn't help but ask. Director Qian wants to build an empire. You want to be an official. Tang Nian bluntly pointed out that Director Qian is ambitious, wanting to be the leader in the machinery field, while Director Wu just wants to be an official, using the factory as a stepping stone. Thud. Tang Manin fell again. He was too lazy to move and sat on the ground, burying his head in his lap like an ostrich, trying to minimize his presence. That girl is so bold and disrespectful, he couldn't manage it anymore. Director Wu's face turned from green to white, a mix of embarrassment and anger. He did want to be an official. He dreamed of it. But why does Tang Nian give Director Qian such high praise? This girl is just like the former director, lacking vision. Director Qian wants to be an official too. You're young and easily fooled by him. Director Wu said sulkily. You all want to be officials. I just want to make money. Tang Nian clearly expressed her thoughts. If Director Wu didn't understand, they could end their cooperation. Of course, Director Wu wasn't that foolish. He realized that since their interests with Forward didn't conflict, he might as well let Tang Nian be. I'll raise your salary to 138. Don't think it's too little. Your uncle will be officially employed next month. Okay, I won't delay the production tasks at Red Star. Uncle Wu, you can take on more precise work. I can handle it all. Tang Nian was quite satisfied with Director Wu. Now her total salary is 336 yuan, plus bonuses and income from the other side. Once the Tang Village sock factory is up and running, earning over 10,000 a month will be no problem. After going to Hu City, she can buy more houses, including some in the capital. They are all golden eggs. Tomorrow I'll go to Hu City to take on work. In the future, our Red Star's tasks will definitely prioritize Forward. Director Wu said, sounding like a concubine vying for favor. Of course, first come, first served. Tang Nian sincerely agreed, and Director Wu finally smiled. As the uncle and niece left the director's office, Tang Nian's legs felt weak, and walking on the cement floor felt like walking on cotton. He felt like he might float away.
Nian, pull me.
Tang Nian grabbed his niece's hand, afraid of floating away. Really officially employed?
Haha.
I'm a formal worker now. At first, Tang Nian only dared to mumble softly, but he got louder, like Fan Jin winning a degree, almost losing his mind. Smack! Tang Nian slapped him without mercy, leaving 5 red fingerprints on his face, and he fell back down.
Why did you hit me?
I'm your uncle. Tang Nian covered his face, feeling the sting. This girl didn't hold back at all. You were acting crazy just now. Grandma said a slap would make it better. Tang Nian said confidently, bringing up Grandma Tang. Your grandma just talks nonsense.
Ugh.
Don't listen to her. Tang Nian was both angry and in pain. This girl is really strong. When we get home, I'll tell Grandma you said she talks nonsense.
That Nian hope fit.
Tang Nian's face hurt even more, and he quickly smiled. I was just talking nonsense, Nian. Don't tell Grandma. Uncle is officially employed now. I'll buy you leather shoes. If his mother found out, she would definitely beat him with a stick. She doesn't care how old he is. She would just hit him. Last year, she chased him around the village 3 times. She didn't give him any face at all.
Buy some for Dan.
Don't give away all the good things at home. Tang Nian really couldn't understand her uncle and aunt's thinking. They give all the good things to others while living frugally themselves. What's the point? Not giving away anymore, I won't give anymore. Tang Nian smiled so widely he could hardly close his mouth. Before, he gave gifts to get promoted, but now that he's a formal worker, he doesn't need to give anything. Make sure to study your electrical skills well. Tang Nian reminded him again. Tang Nian nodded vigorously. He now admires his niece immensely. Even if she told him to run into a wall, he wouldn't hesitate. Being with his niece means he can be officially employed and live a good life. That's Tang Nian's realization. Tang Nian didn't stay in the city and rode her bike back to Tang Village. Today is April 6th. In the book, Old Zhang got caught in the rain and will have a fever tonight. Lu Jinglan went to the cowshed to deliver medicine and became Old Zhang's student. Although Old Zhang is still in good health, she fears the plot might repeat, so she must go back and keep an eye on things, not giving Lu Jinglan any chance. Spring in Jiangnan is unpredictable. It was sunny in the morning, but by afternoon the weather changed. Zhang Xueqing was on the hillside tending to cows and cutting grass, but after cutting only half, the weather turned, and soon it started to rain heavily. Old Zhang, you go back first. I'll handle it. Deng Changsheng, wearing a raincoat and a straw hat, hurried over and brought a set for Zhang Xueqing as well. The raincoats and hats were sent by Tang Nian for them to wear in the rain. As a child, he loved wearing raincoats. They felt very warm. Let's do it together. Zhang Xueqing put on the raincoat and went to herd the cows. You're weak, hurry back. I'm in good shape. Deng Changsheng wanted him to go back, but Zhang Xueqing refused. Usually, Deng did most of the work, and now that Zhang was feeling better, he couldn't be lazy anymore. Deng Changsheng had no choice but to follow him. The two went to lead the cows. but the cows loved the rain and wouldn't go back to the barn. They tried their hardest, but the two cows stood still, leisurely swishing their tails. Just as the two elders were at a loss, a small figure rushed over. Also wearing a raincoat, it was Jiojin. "I'll do it." The little girl patted each cow and shouted, "Go home." Miraculously, the cows moved, slowly following Jiojin. The two elders were stunned. Did the cows only listen to the villagers? They didn't know that before they arrived, the barn had been empty for a while. During that time, old Tang Qingshan had been herding the cows, and Jiojin had followed him since she was little, so she knew the cows well. Listening to her sister's instructions, Jiojin kept an eye on the barn. Her sister said not to let the two elders get wet, and although Jiojin didn't understand why her sister cared so much about the old men, it didn't stop her from obeying. She was her sister's most obedient little sister. Even the third sister had to take a back seat. Holding one cow with each hand, the little girl walked quickly up the hill. One cow stopped to munch on the fresh grass, and the little girl turned around and scolded, "Hurry up, or I'll give you a beating." Moo the cow mooed lazily and obediently climbed the hill, chewing the grass. The two heavy cows behaved like sheep in front of Jiojin. Before long, she had led them into the barn and neatly tied the ropes. Wiping the rain off her face, she looked seriously at the two elders and said, "Don't go out in the rain." "My sister said so." "Your sister is Tang Nianyan?" Zhang Xueqing suddenly understood. Besides Nianyan, no one else would care about them like that. "Yes, don't go out and get wet." Jiojin proudly nodded and reminded them again before running off. She still had pig grass to gather in the rain. "Wait, I'll make ginger soup." Zhang Xueqing chased after her, wanting to make ginger soup for the little girl, but Jiojin ran very fast and soon disappeared into the rain. "This child." Zhang Xueqing smiled and shook his head. He took off the raincoat, feeling a bit wet, with his pants soaked. Normally, he wouldn't mind, but after Jiojin's scolding, he thought he should drink a bowl of ginger soup to ward off the cold. Better safe than sorry. He couldn't let down Nianyan's good intentions. Besides, they had plenty of brown sugar. Tang Nianyan had brought a bag before, and there was also ginger. The ingredients were all ready. He just needed to cook them. Zhang Xueqing got to work, slicing the ginger into thin strips, starting a fire, and boiling 2 bowls of strong ginger water. He and Deng Chongqing each took a bowl. "I don't need to drink. I'm very healthy." Deng Chongqing felt bad about using the brown sugar. It was precious, and he thought it would be a waste for a rough man like him. "Even if you're healthy, you're not young anymore.
Drink it."
Nianyan reminded us many times. We need to take care of our health. Zhang Xueqing patiently persuaded him, pulling over a small stool to sit at the door, sipping ginger soup while enjoying the rain outside. The rain fell harder, cascading down the eaves, dense like a waterfall, splashing on the ground and creating little water flowers. The distant grass and trees looked wrapped in a thick layer of mist, adding a touch of dreamy beauty. Spring rain fills the fields, new rice sprouts, the bed is warm, and the calves sleep. Watching clouds connect the wheat rows, snow piles up in silkworm clusters. Excerpt from Xian Qiji's Man Jianghong, Mountain Dwelling. After finishing a big bowl of ginger soup, Zhang Xueqing felt warm all over and suddenly felt inspired, loudly reciting the poem. Deng Chongqing also brought over a chair to sit down, holding his ginger soup, which he hadn't drunk yet. He wasn't used to hot food and preferred it cool. Listening to his old friend recite poetry, even though he didn't understand it, he found it quite nice. "Old Zhang, what does this poem mean?" Deng Chongqing humbly asked. He admired educated people. "It means that spring brings plenty of rain, and the newly planted rice has grown green shoots. There's not much work to do, so it's quite leisurely, and the little yellow cows are lazily napping." Zhang Xueqing patiently explained. Deng Chongqing listened with great interest. Although he couldn't read many characters, he was eager to learn, and the words he knew were self-taught during his spare time. This poet really understands rural life. Now we can let our cows rest well. Deng Chongqing admired the poet greatly, praising him endlessly. Zhang Xueqing smiled. The poet is Xian Qiji, an official who cares about the country and the people, so he naturally understands the lives of the common folk. He felt that whether they were writers, artists, or scientists, they needed to be grounded. Those who sit high above and talk grandly are not experts, they're a nuisance. He glanced at the ginger soup in Deng Changxing's hand and reminded him, "Drink the ginger soup while it's hot. If it cools down, it won't ward off the cold. It's too hot to drink. Let it cool down. The steam is gone. Hurry up and drink it. You nag more than my wife." Unable to resist Zhang Xueqing's persistent reminders, Deng Changxing finished the ginger soup in one go. The two of them didn't want to move, cherishing this rare leisurely time. They sat on the small stools, holding their empty bowls, enjoying the rain and chatting a bit. This kind of comfort was something they couldn't have imagined a month ago. It was all thanks to Nian Nian. Due to the heavy rain, work in the village stopped, and both villagers and young workers took a break. In Jiangnan, the spring rain seemed never-ending. Tang Nian was still on the road, 10 miles away from Tang village, and the rain intensified. She didn't want to stop to put on a raincoat, especially since she was already wet. Wearing one wouldn't make much difference. Facing the heavy rain, Tang Nian pedaled quickly, the cold rain hitting her face, making her feel particularly excited. She even stuck out her tongue to taste the rainwater, which was a bit sweet. In the apocalypse, rainwater was polluted. Not only could you not drink it, but getting wet could also corrode your skin. By the time she rode home, she was soaked through. Tang Nian rushed into the yard, skidding to a stop and jumping off the bike in one smooth motion. "Why didn't you avoid the rain?
Didn't you bring a raincoat?"
Old Tang rushed out, seeing her looking like a drowned rat. Furious. "I brought one." Tang Nian unfastened the basket from her bike, which contained a bag of rice and about 10 pairs of socks she had woven in her space. The top of the basket was covered with the raincoat, keeping the rice and socks dry. "Why didn't you wear the raincoat? Are you being lazy again?" Old Tang was even angrier. It wasn't good for a girl to get wet in the rain. This lazy girl was really pushing her luck. However, seeing the rice and socks completely dry, her anger dissipated, replaced by a feeling of guilt and self-reproach. It turned out this girl was worried about the rain wetting the rice and socks, which was why she got soaked herself. She had scolded her wrongly. "I'll go make ginger soup. Hurry and change your clothes." Old Tang's tone was a bit awkward. She was used to scolding and couldn't find the right words to express her concern. Old Mrs. Tang didn't know that Tang Nian was just lazy. She had plenty of raincoats in her space, but didn't want to bother putting one on. Old Mrs. Tang quickly started a fire to make ginger soup and boiled 2 eggs, adding 3 spoons of brown sugar. Back when Su Jinfeng was in confinement, she only used 1 spoon of brown sugar and 1 egg. Everyone is grown up but still likes to get caught in the rain. When it rains, they should find a place to hide. The pigweed on the mountain won't run away, and if the rice gets wet, just dry it out. Everyone's brains are getting duller. The old lady kept complaining, first about her granddaughter getting wet, and now about her second granddaughter. Neither of them was easy to manage. Luckily, they had plenty of brown sugar at home. Otherwise, what would they do? "Grandma, I want to wash my hair and take a shower." Tang Nian was soaked, feeling uncomfortable with her wet clothes, so she decided to take a hot shower. The Tang family stove had 2 pots and 2 hot water jars. When cooking, the water would heat up, allowing for washing faces and feet. Previously, old Mrs. Tang had boiled pig food, so the water in the jar was still hot. "I'll heat water for you. You wash your hair first." Old Mrs. Tang filled a pot with water and started heating it. Similar stoves had 2 hot water jars in the middle. Tang Nian washed her hair first. In her space, she used shampoo, but now she could only use hair wash, which worked just fine. However, many people in the village didn't use hair wash because they didn't want to spend the money. Instead, they used soap pods, soap, hibiscus leaves, or a type of nameless water plant by the river that produced foam when crushed. They could use it for washing hair and clothes. She was too lazy to go up the mountain to gather them and just bought hair wash. When she was little, she used this. Tang Nian didn't want to bend down to wash her hair. She thought for a moment and called out to Jiojin, "Help me wash my hair. I'll give you a dime." "I'm coming." The little girl ran over with bright eyes, rolled up her sleeves, and eagerly asked, "Second sister, how do I wash it?" "Just like this, make sure it's clean." Tang Nian Nian moved the old man's favorite chair to the eaves, lay down with her head facing outside, so the water could flow directly into the yard. Jiu Jin was smart and understood immediately. With confidence, she said, "Second sister, you lie down, and I promise it will smell great." A dime could buy a lot of candy, and her second sister was so nice. Tang Nian Nian lay back in the chair, smiling as she enjoyed the little girl's immersive head-washing service. To be honest, the little girl had a talent for it. It felt really nice. "Second sister, is it comfortable?" the little girl occasionally asked, being especially caring. "Very comfortable. Jiu Jin is amazing." Tang Nian Nian praised her generously, and Jiu Jin worked even harder, as if she had been energized. Old Mrs. Tang finished making the ginger soup and came out to see this eye-catching scene. She was so angry she wanted to scold them, but the guilt from earlier held her back. Moreover, old Mrs. Tang thought of a good thing and decided not to scold them. She kept the ginger soup warm in the pot and took the hot water to the bathroom so Tang Nian Nian could wash up soon. After Jiu Jin finished washing her hair, she diligently dried it, even wiping inside her ears. Tang Nian Nian happily took out a dime and gave it to the little girl. She did a great job. She would hire Jiu Jin again next time. "Second sister, you're so nice. I love you so much." Jiu Jin beamed with joy, her little face shaking with excitement, her eyes shining like a little money lover. Tang Nian Nian wrapped a towel around her head and went to take a shower. As soon as she stepped into the bathroom, old Mrs. Tang walked up to Jiu Jin and snatched the dime away, acting more like a bandit than a grandmother. "Grandma, that was given to me by second sister," Jiu Jin bravely explained, as this was her money. "What does a child need so much money for?"
Here, take a dime.
Old Mrs. Tang glared at her and shoved a dime into Jiu Jin's pocket, sternly warning, "Don't spend money recklessly." "Okay," Jiu Jin replied weakly, feeling as deflated as a wilted eggplant. She was unhappy but dared not protest, watching helplessly as her grandmother took away her hard-earned money.
Wah!
Her money was still warm, and now it had turned into a dime. When Tang Nian Nian finished her shower, old Mrs. Tang handed her a bowl of ginger soup. "Drink it while it's hot." She placed the ginger soup on a stool by the door, then sat on a small stool to sip the soup while watching the rain. She loved spring rain because it meant another year of good harvests. She couldn't eat both eggs, so she called for Jiu Jin to help. Jiu Jin came over with a long face. Not even the 2 eggs could cheer her up. "What's wrong?" Tang Nian Nian was curious. This little girl usually smiled all the time, and she had just earned a dime. Did a mouse eat her money? "Grandma took a dime and exchanged it for my 5 cents. Jiu Jin murmured quietly, holding up her chubby fingers one by one to show how cruel old Mrs. Tang was. Tang Nian Nian twitched her mouth. Her grandmother could indeed do something like that. "Here, don't let Grandma know." She quickly took out a dime and stuffed it into the little girl's pocket. Jiu Jin instantly grabbed her pocket like lightning. Her previously gloomy face lit up like a flower, glowing with happiness. After thinking for a moment, she took the money out of her pocket and stuffed it into her sock, feeling that was the safest place. "Second sister, I like you the most." Little Jiu Jin ate the eggs eagerly, mumbling her love. This was the phrase she had said the most over the past month. Tang Nian Nian gently patted her head, stood up, and went outside, reaching out to catch the raindrops falling from the eaves. The cold raindrops splashed in her palm, looking beautiful like flowers. "Just took a shower, and now you're playing in the water? Are your hands itching? Hurry up and come in." Old Mrs. Tang saw her and started scolding again. Tang Nian Nian puffed her cheeks, unable to explain her little indulgences to the old lady, who only knew that farming was tough.
Dong dong dong.
The clock struck 5 p.m. It got dark quickly on rainy days, and it was already quite dim outside. Smoke rose from every household as old Mrs. Tang began preparing dinner, steaming salted meat, stewing wild chicken with potatoes, stir-frying melon heads, and steaming snails and potatoes. Under Tang Nian supervision, the Tang family's meals had improved significantly lately, not only in variety, but also in oil. Old Mrs. Tang had gone from feeling pain to getting used to it, and now she was too numb to complain. "Oldest, go pick some green onions from the garden." Old Mrs. Tang called out, then shouted at the door, "It's getting windy. Don't just stand there like a door god. Come in quickly." "Okay." Tang Nian shook her hands and wiped them on her clothes as she went inside. Tonight, Lu Jinglan would come to deliver medicine, probably around midnight. She would check on the cowshed soon. Tang Manjin returned with a handful of green onions and placed them on the stove before leaving. "Aren't you going to wash them? Just throwing them in the pot like this? You're so lazy. Is that all your hands know how to do, eat?" Old Mrs. Tang got angry when she saw the dirty onions and scolded her eldest son harshly. Tang Manjin dared not say a word and obediently cleaned the onions until they were spotless, handing them to old Mrs. Tang. Old Mrs. Tang huffed heavily, glared at him, and quickly chopped the onions, the sound of the knife ringing in the kitchen, filling the air with the aroma of cooking and the warmth of home. After dinner, the rain stopped. Tang Nian made an excuse to go fishing by the river and took a stroll around the cowshed. Zhang Lao and Deng Chongsheng were both doing well, looking healthy and energetic. Tang Nian felt relieved and cast a net by the river, catching a few fish to take home for soup tomorrow. At the youth point, Lu Jinglan was restless all day, waiting for nightfall. In her past life, Zhang Lao had a high fever tonight, so she needed to go over early. She couldn't let that Tang Nian steal her opportunity again. It was late at night, and all the lights in Tang village were off, sinking into silence. The sound of the river at the village entrance was particularly pleasant. The whole village was shrouded in mist, and the fresh air carried the scent of grass. Lu Jinglan had not closed her eyes. She was waiting. Time seemed to pass slowly as she checked her watch repeatedly. It felt like time had stopped, and the hands of the clock didn't move. Finally, it reached midnight. Lu Jinglan let out a sigh of relief, her expression turning excited. Old Zhang must be suffering from a high fever now, with no medicine, and the cowshed is cold and damp. She brought medicine and nutritional supplies, which would surely leave a deep impression on him and rescue him from his suffering. She couldn't mention any benefits, and she had to act as if she had no selfish motives. She just couldn't bear to see him suffer, which was why she was risking herself to help, just like Tang Nian in her past life, who made no demands and moved old Zhang so much that he took her as a student, even providing her with textbooks and exam papers. Otherwise, she would never have been able to get into Fudan. Moreover, after old Zhang returned to the city, he became the head of a confidential military project and provided that girl with many resources. Tang Nian's success was largely due to him. All of this should belong to her. She was the destined heroine. Otherwise, why would she have been reborn? Lu Jinglan firmly believed she was special and luckier than Tang Nian. The youth commune was dark, and everyone was sound asleep. Lu Jinglan took out a bag of malted milk powder she had brought from the capital, which she had been saving, along with 10 eggs and some fever medicine. She wrapped her scarf tightly, put on her cotton coat, stuffed the items into her clothes, and didn't dare to use a flashlight for fear of being discovered, making her way up the mountain carefully. There was no moon tonight, and the night was dark. It had just rained, making the mountain path very slippery. Lu Jinglan fell several times, getting covered in mud and feeling quite embarrassed. Hang in there. After tonight, you will become old Zhang's student, and all resources will be yours. Tang Nian will never compare to you. Lu Jinglan silently encouraged herself, her spirits lifting as she headed towards the cow shed on the hillside. Inside the cow shed, a fire was burning brightly, and there were thick blankets. Zhang Xueqing and Deng Chongsheng were sleeping soundly. A hurried knock on the door startled them awake. Deng Chongsheng quickly got up and nudged Zhang Xueqing. "Old Zhang, I'm here to deliver something. Open the door." Lu Jinglan whispered at the door, still catching her breath. "Put the things away." Deng Chongsheng quickly jumped out of bed and, with the light of the fire, stuffed the newspapers and oil lamp that Zhang Xueqing had been reading under the bed, covering them with a board and dirt. He took out a worn cotton blanket and spread it over the thick blanket, making it look as shabby as before. They had practiced these actions countless times and could do them with their eyes closed. In no time, they were ready. "Old Zhang, I brought you something. I know you have a fever, and I have medicine." Lu Jinglan waited for a long time without a response and grew anxious, knocking harder on the door. Zhang Xueqing frowned. This woman must have bad intentions. He was perfectly fine. What fever was she talking about? Someone cursing him at midnight was definitely not a good sign.
Who are you?
Deng Chongqing asked, leaning against the door. The cow shed rarely interacted with the village. Usually, letters and packages were delivered by the team leader and other villagers, and youth avoided them during the day, as if they were ghosts. This young girl showing up at such an hour, claiming to bring medicine, seemed suspicious. "I'm the youth Lu Jinglan. I saw you both caught in the rain during the day, so I came to bring you medicine." Lu Jinglan was getting impatient. How could these two old men be so ungrateful? She came all this way at night to bring the medicine and fell several times in the process. Why were they asking so many questions? She was freezing outside. Deng Chongqing's body tensed, his eyes sharp. This was the bad woman Lu Jinglan that Nian Nian had mentioned. She was definitely up to no good, showing up at midnight. She was either a ghost or a schemer. "No need. Just go away." Deng Chongqing refused to open the door, convinced that this bad woman had discovered Nian Nian's connection with them and was trying to find evidence. He would not give her a chance. "I'm not sick, just leave." Zhang Xueqing was also cold in his tone. "Old Zhang, I know you're sick. I mean no harm. I just admire you and want to help. I'll leave the things at the door." Lu Jinglan gritted her teeth, her eyes filled with resentment. Darn old man, even after being sent to the cow shed, he still acted so proud. He deserved to be challenged. She didn't dare to show any complaints in her tone, placing the items at the door. "Old Zhang, I really just want to help you. Please remember to take your medicine and take care of your health." "Are you sick?" "I'm perfectly fine. I don't need any medicine. Take your things away." Zhang Xueqing was furious. With her constant talk of sickness and medicine, he could run to the top of the mountain without losing breath. He was much stronger than before. This woman had ulterior motives. Lu Jinglan naturally didn't believe him. In her past life, old Zhang had a high fever and nearly died until he took the medicine Tang Nian Nian brought.
How could he not be sick this time?
She didn't know how Tang Nian Nian got into the cow shed in her past life. These two old men were too vigilant to even let her in. Lu Jinglan was freezing, so she turned to head back down the mountain. She had left the items. Old Zhang would surely use them. She would come back in a couple of days to build a connection. As she reached the foot of the mountain, she suddenly realized that perhaps in her past life, Tang Nian Nian hadn't entered the shed either. She just left the medicine at the door. These two elders had experienced great changes and would not trust anyone anymore. She needed to be patient and slowly win over old Zhang. Lu Jinglan felt much better, and she wasn't as cold anymore as she walked back to the youth commune. After a while, old Zhang and Deng Chongqing finally opened the door and saw the items on the ground. A bag of malted milk powder, 10 eggs, and a few pieces of medicine. "Old Deng, what should we do with these?" Zhang Xueqing frowned, holding the items as if they were hot potatoes. "I'll give them to the team leader tomorrow. Let's sleep." Deng Chongqing had already made plans. No matter where Lu Jinglan came from, he wouldn't deal with it. He would let the team leader handle it. The next morning, a light rain began to fall again, and the team leader announced a day off work over the loudspeaker. Tang Nian Nian was sleeping in. She had worked late the night before fixing sock machines, managing to repair 10 in one go, leaving her so tired that she couldn't keep her eyes open. This morning, Grandma Tang was shouting in her ear, but couldn't wake her. "Not working today, and you're still sleeping so soundly? Did you dream of building the Great Wall?" Grandma Tang grumbled as she slapped the blanket and went out for breakfast. Tang Nian Nian was awakened by the smell of lunch, lazily lying in bed and not wanting to move. "Are you awake? Did you go build the Great Wall last night? Hurry up and get up for breakfast." Grandma Tang appeared at the door, complaining loudly. Grandma, I want to eat in bed. Tang Nian Nian shouted her request, not wanting to wash her face or brush her teeth, just wanting to eat and then go back to sleep. Ancient people said that spring sleep is deep, indicating that spring is the season for sleeping, and one should follow the will of heaven. Why don't you just poop and pee in bed? I see you're just lazy and itching for a beating.
Get up now.
Grandma Tang charged in with a kitchen knife, scolding her mercilessly. Tang Nian Nian felt a bit guilty and didn't dare to argue. She obediently got dressed and went to wash up. While brushing her teeth in the yard, a gust of wind blew by, bringing a strong, foul smell. Tang Nian Nian held her breath and quickly finished brushing her teeth. She dipped a towel in the basin, wrung it out carelessly, and wiped her face with it, thinking she was done. Old Lady Tang, who was picking scallions, saw this and rushed over, snatching the towel from her. She washed it vigorously in the water, wrung it out hard, and then scrubbed Tang Nian Nian's face as if she were mixing cement. Is this how you wash your face? Even a cat would do a better job. With just a few splashes of water, you might as well not wash at all. You're grown up now, and you can't even wash your face properly. What else can you do? Tang Nian Nian was caught off guard and felt her face being pressed down, scrubbing painfully. She was sure her skin was getting rubbed raw. Her fists clenched, then relaxed. She constantly reminded herself that this was her grandmother who raised her, so she couldn't hit her. I washed it! Tang Nian Nian shouted angrily, her voice strained. She had been washing her face like this for years, and it was always clean. She didn't understand why it had to be done with such force. Was this washing her face or scraping off skin? You call that washing? Even a 9-pound baby knows better. Old Lady Tang scrubbed her face a few more times, then rinsed the towel in the basin, wrung it out, and hung it up. Seeing Tang Nian Nian's face red from scrubbing, she finally felt satisfied and turned to prepare lunch. There was a mirror above the sink, and when Tang Nian Nian looked at her reflection, her skin was all red and raw. She gritted her teeth, thinking that if it were anyone else, she would definitely have broken their neck. Jiojin, nearby, was laughing so hard she was in tears. Tang Nian Nian gave her a hard flick on the forehead. Watching the little girl hug her head with teary eyes made her feel better. Grandma, who is boiling urine eggs. It stinks. Another wave of foul smell hit her, making Tang Nian Nian lose her appetite. She recognized the smell immediately. It was the infamous urine eggs. In Zhucheng, there is a custom of boiling urine eggs around Qingming Festival. They pour boy's urine into a large pot without adding any water or seasoning, then add duck or chicken eggs to boil. Once the urine evaporates, the eggs turn a deep brown, resembling tea eggs, and they are very salty. If you didn't know they were urine eggs, you'd think they were tea eggs. Honestly, they taste pretty good, salty and fragrant, as long as you don't know the ingredients. It is said that urine eggs have benefits for boosting vitality and nourishing the lungs. Where's the stink? It smells great. I didn't get any urine. Old Lady Tang sounded disappointed. She had arrived too late, and the boys' urine from a youth class had been taken by others, but she had reserved some for the day after tomorrow. Grandma, are you going to boil them too? Tang Nian Nian made a face, unable to imagine the scene of the house filled with that smell. If her grandma boiled eggs, she would run away from home. I'm boiling them tomorrow. I've arranged it with the school. All the boys' urine for the day after tomorrow is reserved for me. I'll boil about 100, eat half, and give half away. Oh, and send some to Director Wu too. Old Lady Tang had it all planned out. Urine eggs were great gifts. Tang Nian Nian's mouth twitched, but she didn't refuse. In Zhucheng, they really were considered a good thing. Besides, both Director Wu and Director Qian seemed a bit bald, so sending them some urine eggs might help. However, she was definitely going to run away when the time came. The smell from boiling urine eggs could knock out an elephant. Old Lady Tang went to the vegetable garden next to the house to pick scallions and saw the captain striding over. Xiao San, where are you going at mealtime? Old Lady Tang called out. The captain stopped. He was holding a bag of things that Lu Jinglan had sent to the cattle shed. Just then, Deng Chongsheng had found him and told him about last night's events. We never deal with the villagers, and the educated youth won't pay attention either. I don't know what Lu Jinglan means by coming here at midnight to deliver things. Captain Tang, we can't accept these. Please return them to Comrade Lu Jinglan and thank her for her kindness, but don't let her come here again. As soon as the captain heard Lu Jinglan's name, he immediately started to overthink. The person who sent Zhang Lao and Deng Chongsheng had said something meaningful. No need for special care. If there's an issue, call immediately. Don't delay. The captain had been pondering this sentence for 3 days. No special care, but if there's an issue, call immediately and don't delay? The leader's words seemed contradictory. He thought deeper and realized that these two old men were definitely not ordinary people. Understanding this, the captain had been very cautious over the past 2 years. The food distributed to the two elders was strictly according to regulations, 20 pounds, no more, no less. Even if he wanted to give more, he couldn't. The team was short on food. However, the captain strictly forbade the villagers from interacting with the two elders, so they had lived relatively peacefully for the past 2 years. But now, with Lu Jinglan suddenly appearing, the captain's nerves were on edge. He had no good impression of Lu Jinglan. A woman who only knew how to charm men couldn't be trusted. Lu Jinglan showing up at midnight to deliver things definitely had bad intentions. Perhaps these items were poisoned, and if Zhang Lao and Deng Chongsheng ate them, they would die in agony. The captain was scared by his own overthinking. If Zhang Lao and Deng Chongsheng died in his village, he would definitely lose his position as captain and might even face punishment. He had to keep a close eye on Lu Jinglan and, if necessary, send her to the farm. I'm going to the educated youth point. The captain was anxious and quickly walked away. Old Lady Tang didn't pay attention and returned to the house with the scallions to cook. At the educated youth point, they were also cooking. Lu Jinglan was cooking alone since Yang Hongling was not there. In a good mood, Lu Jinglan made stir-fried chives with eggs, braised tofu, and steamed sausages. 3 dishes, quite a feast. Just as she was about to eat, the captain arrived. Captain, have you eaten? Come, eat with us. The young people eating in the yard stood up and greeted him warmly. They were quite grateful to the captain. The atmosphere in Tang village was good. Aside from a few troublemakers, most villagers were nice. The captain was fair in his work, and as long as they worked hard, they generally wouldn't have any issues. Unlike some of their classmates who went to villages where it felt like being among bandits, and pretty young women were even bullied. After hearing about these things, they felt lucky and were even more thankful to the captain. You all eat. Where's Lu Jinglan? The captain frowned, not seeing Lu Jinglan. She went inside to eat. The young people pointed to Lu Jinglan's room and gathered around to see what was happening. The captain was clearly angry, so Lu Jinglan must have done something wrong again. The captain knocked hard on the door, each knock filled with anger. When Lu Jinglan opened the door and saw him, her heart sank and she quickly smiled, asking, "Is there something wrong, Captain?
Come out."
The captain didn't want to enter the room. He believed in keeping boundaries between men and women. Lu Jinglan felt a chill run down her spine, sensing something was wrong. She stepped outside and saw the bag in the captain's hand, her vision darkening as cold sweat broke out. You all listen too. The captain's expression was serious as he called all the young people over and scolded. When you came here, I told you not to interact with those in the cow shed. They are here for labor reform, not to make friends. Did you think my words were just empty talk? Captain, we didn't interact with them. We went to chop wood on the mountain and avoided the cow shed. I don't even know what the people in the cow shed look like. The young people protested, feeling very wronged. This was truly an undeserved disaster. It was all Lu Jinglan's fault for causing trouble and dragging them into this. Lu Jinglan was sweating profusely, her mind in chaos. She didn't understand why this was happening. In her past life, Tang Nian succeeded and became a student of Elder Zhang. Why would Elder Zhang complain to the captain about her? Heaven had given her a second chance, so why not this small opportunity? Lu Jinglan, stop pretending.
I'm talking about you.
What were you sneaking around the cow shed for in the middle of the night? And bringing these things? Do you want to be friends with those people? The captain's tone was stern, each word piercing. No, Captain, I didn't want to be friends with them. I just felt sorry for them and wanted to bring them something. I had no other intentions. Lu Jinglan hurriedly defended herself, but the sudden change caught her off guard. Her thoughts were jumbled, and her words were contradictory and unconvincing. The other young people quietly stepped back, clearly showing their stance. They still wanted to return to the city and definitely couldn't get involved with those people. Feeling sorry for them? They are here to follow the orders of the leaders above and are here for labor reform. What's there to feel sorry for? Are you unhappy with the policies from above? The captain's face darkened further. He hadn't mistreated the people in the cow shed. He had been quietly watching over them. Last year, when Elder Zhang fell ill, he was the one who got the medicine. Last month, he was going to deliver food but saw Nian girl had brought a wild rabbit, so he let it go. He trusted her to be clever enough not to get caught. Lu Jinglan's implication seemed to suggest he was mistreating the people in the cow shed. She was clearly not a good person. No, I'm not unhappy, Captain. I know I was wrong. I won't go to the cow shed again. Please give me another chance. Lu Jinglan slowly gathered her thoughts and decisively admitted her mistake. She couldn't get involved with those people. That darn captain was deliberately framing her, surely under Tang Nian's orders. Suddenly, she realized that if she could be reborn, so could Tang Nian. After Tang Nian fell into the water, her personality changed drastically, and she faced many difficulties. Perhaps that wretched girl was reborn at that time. I hope you remember what you said today. If you make another mistake, you'll go to the farm for reform. The captain issued his final warning. Lu Jinglan turned pale, cold sweat forming beads on her forehead, rolling down her cheeks. And you all, if anyone dares to break the rules of Tang Village, don't blame me for being unkind. The captain sternly warned the young people. They all promised not to do anything foolish that would break the rules. The captain was still reassured by them. Since coming to the village, they had worked honestly, without causing trouble. The least honest were Lu Jinglan and her sister, along with the little glasses wearer. The captain shot Lu Jinglan a fierce glare, placed the bag on the ground, and left in big strides. Lu Jinglan stood there in a daze. When she came to her senses, she found the young people had dispersed. Looking at the bag on the ground, she lost all appetite. Tang Nian had also been reborn. No wonder she threw Qi Guochun into the river, barged in to steal the jade gourd, sent He Guoqing to the farm, and caused Qi Guohua to be bitten by a snake and become disabled. She should have figured it out earlier. That wretched girl must have known Elder Zhang would have a fever last night and had prepared for it, waiting for her to deliver, then letting the captain come to humiliate her and label her as one of those people. What a wicked heart. Lu Jinglan gritted her teeth, her fingers digging deep into her palm until it bled, but she didn't feel the pain. Now that she was targeted by Tang Nian, and Tang Village was that wretched girl's territory, she definitely couldn't win and might even be sent for labor reform. She couldn't just sit back and wait. And then there was Zhou Siren. She had to take the initiative. Lu Jinglan perked up. She hadn't lost yet. As long as she married Zhou Siren, she could win. In her past life, Zhou Siren came to Tang Village in the fall. She had to find a way to return to the capital and make things happen with Zhou Siren, leaving no chance for Tang Nian. Regarding the rumors in Tang Village about Tang Nian dating Xin Xiao, Lu Jinglan didn't believe it at all. That charcoal black man, whom she hadn't even seen in her past life, was definitely not an important figure. The best man was Zhou Siren, and as long as she held onto him tightly, she could completely defeat Tang Nian. Lu Jinglan regained her confidence. She needed to go to town to make a phone call and ask her mom to send a telegram saying she was critically ill and needed to return quickly, so she would have a reason to take leave. After lunch, Tang Nian went up the mountain to gather wild vegetables and casually visited the cow shed. Nian girl, that Lu Jinglan really has bad intentions. She came in the middle of the night to deliver things. Old Zhang, and I won't be fooled. I didn't open the door for her, and just now I took the things to the captain. Deng Changsheng was particularly proud. Although he was old, his vigilance hadn't diminished. Nian girl, you need to be careful of Lu Jinglan. Zhang Xueqing expressed his concerns, fearing Tang Nian would be at a disadvantage. It's fine. I'll send her to the farm in a few days. Tang Nian's expression was cold. She had already let Lu Jinglan be comfortable for a month. Once He Guiqing and Tang Wujin got their certificate, she would find an excuse to send Lu Jinglan for labor reform. And also to annoy Tang Wujin. Watching her husband care for another woman every day, if Tang Wujin could still be generous, she would stand on her head to wash her hair. Border in the dense forest, gunshots rang out continuously, accompanied by the voices of men speaking a difficult dialect. A figure dashed out of the woods like lightning. Night Owl is ahead. Capture him alive. A group of men followed, all with dark skin and short stature, resembling monkeys. They were soldiers from a neighboring country, ordered to capture Night Owl alive. Shen Shao carried someone on his back, his speed unaffected, running faster and faster. The forest was his territory. If it weren't for saving Zhou Xiliang, who was a burden, he would have easily left them behind. Although Uncle Ming said not to worry about Zhou Xiliang's life or death, Shen Shao asked again. A living Zhou Xiliang was worth more than a dead one. If he saved him alive, the reward was 1,000. If he carried back a corpse, it was only 200. Without hesitation, Shen Shao chose to save him alive. But Zhou Xiliang was useless. He had been shot in the leg and couldn't walk, forcing Shen Shao to carry him, wasting a lot of his time. Zhou Xiliang groaned in pain, his body trembling. Shen Shao felt it but didn't stop or ask. If he could make a sound, it meant he was still alive. He just needed to keep him alive. More gunshots rang out, and the enemies continued to pursue. Shen Shao was their #1 enemy. He had killed many of them over the past 2 years, creating a deep-seated hatred. Zhou Xiliang groaned again, this time louder, because he had been shot again. He had originally only been shot in the leg, but now he had a bullet in his back and another in his butt. He worried that if they kept running like this, he might not survive to get out of the forest.
Shen
Shao, put me down. I can walk. Zhou Xiliang gritted his teeth and trembled as he pleaded. If he could walk, there was a chance of survival. Letting this jerk carry him meant only death. He doubted Shen Shao was not using him as a shield against bullets. Moreover, their relationship was not good. Why would this guy kindly come to save him? It must be revenge. The only response was the howling wind. Shen Shao remained silent and didn't stop, running even faster, as if he were on a whirlwind, with trees flying past him.
Shen Shao, put me down. Ah.
Zhou Xiliang cried out in pain. He had been shot again, this time in the ribs. He finally fell silent, not because he didn't want to resist, but because he had no strength left. Before losing consciousness, Zhou Xiliang vowed through gritted teeth that if he survived, he would make Shen Shao pay. The gunfire and the enemy's shouts gradually weakened. Shen Shao increased the distance between them, running for dozens of miles until he finally lost the enemies and returned to Chinese territory. Safe. Shen Shao slowly slowed down and stopped, finding an open patch of grass. He casually tossed Zhou Xiliang onto the ground. Zhou Xiliang landed heavily without making a sound, lying still, his face pale like a corpse, with a hint of blue.
Shen Zhao's heart sank.
He quickly bent down and checked for breath under his nose. There was still some, and he felt relieved. He didn't check on Zhou Xiliang any further, sitting on the grass, unscrewing his water bottle, and gulping it down in one go. He didn't give Zhou Xiliang a drop, as he had mixed a few drops of precious water into it and didn't want to waste it. After drinking, Shen Shao felt revitalized, his energy restored instantly. He took out a signal flare and shot it into the sky, then sat and waited for reinforcements. The Zhou family in the capital was anxiously awaiting news. The military district said they had sent Night Owl to rescue him, and Zhou Xiliang was likely to return safely. But without seeing him alive, they couldn't relax. The Zhou family had built their fortune through warfare, but among the younger generation, although many joined the military, Zhou Xiliang stood out the most, with the brightest future. Old Master Zhou valued his grandson, Zhou Xiliang, the most, and had high hopes for him. Now, with Zhou Xiliang's fate unknown, the entire Zhou family was uneasy. Finally, the military district called to inform them that Zhou Xiliang had been successfully rescued and was out of danger after emergency treatment at the Southwest Military Hospital. Old Master Zhou breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that his grandson was safe. Old Chief Xiliang. The person on the phone hesitated, causing Old Master Zhou's heart to race again. He said sternly, "Just tell me. I can handle it." Xiliang's sciatic nerve was hit by a bullet. The doctor said he might not be able to stand. Is it a possibility or a certainty? Old Master Zhou's voice was calm, but his hand that held the phone tightened into a fist, exuding a chilling aura. The doctor said the chances of standing again are very slim, and Xiliang was hit by 2 bullets in the lungs, suffering severe injuries. Even if the bullets are removed, his body will be affected. In short, Zhou Xiliang had become disabled. I understand. Take good care of Xiliang. Old Master Zhou hung up the phone, his expression cold. He sternly addressed the Zhou family members in front of him. Xiliang has been rescued, but the situation is not good. You all behave in the capital and don't cause trouble.
Dad, what happened to Xiliang?
Didn't they send the best people to rescue him? How could he get hurt? A middle-aged woman cried out. She was Zhou Xiliang's mother. I'm going to the Southwest Military District tomorrow. Old Master Zhou ignored her. He needed to see Xiliang for himself to understand the situation. If someone had intentionally harmed his grandson, they would not escape his wrath. Ruining Xiliang meant cutting off the Zhou family's legacy. This was a grudge that could not be forgiven. The next day, Old Master Zhou took a helicopter to the Southwest Military District and saw his grandson lying in a hospital bed, already awake. Grandpa, it was Xin Xiao. He harmed me on purpose. Zhou Xiliang gritted his teeth and complained. He didn't yet know he had become disabled, but he vaguely sensed something was wrong. After the surgery, he couldn't move at all, especially his legs, which felt numb like wood. But he still didn't think the worst. He assumed it was just the effects of the anesthesia, and once he recovered, he would surely be the best in the military again. Yet he hated Xin Xiao deeply. If it weren't for this jerk using him as a human shield, how could he have taken so many bullets? Zhou Xiliang exaggerated his experiences in the forest, and although Old Master Zhou's expression didn't change, his eyes grew colder. Is he the child from the Xin family who has been wandering for years? That's him. He must hold a grudge against me for teaching him a lesson before, so he's taking revenge on me, Zhou Xiliang said through gritted teeth, filled with resentment. When Xin Xiao was first brought back to the Xin family, he was dark and thin, not talkative, and looked gloomy, not likable at all. Even the Xin family didn't like him. At that time, the children in the courtyard, led by Zhou Xiliang, bullied Xin Xiao like a tyrant. They were numerous, and even if Xin Xiao was strong, he couldn't fight against a group, often ending up bruised and beaten. Initially, Zhou Xiliang was afraid the Xin family would retaliate, but when nothing happened, he grew bolder and bullied others even more. But later, Xin Xiao grew taller and became better at fighting, and they could no longer take advantage of him. Instead, they would get beaten. Afterward, when Zhou Xiliang joined the military, although he was 2 years older, he was still suppressed by Xin Xiao, which deepened his resentment. After leaving the hospital, Old Master Zhou called the Shanghai Military District, and the person who answered was Ming Jinqing. Old Chief, the situation was very dangerous at that time. To put it bluntly, if it were anyone else, they definitely wouldn't have saved Xiliang. Only someone like Xin Xiao could bring him back alive. Ming Jinqing didn't fully understand the situation back then, but he felt the Zhou family was being unreasonable. Xin Xiao risked his life to save someone, and no matter what, he brought him back alive. Why weren't they grateful? They were acting like ungrateful wolves. But he didn't dare to say that out loud. The Zhou family held a significant position, and he couldn't afford to offend them. Xiliang is ruined, the old man said solemnly. He believed in his grandson and thought Xin Xiao had better options, but chose the worst one for his grandson. He had to take revenge for his grandson. Old chief, with modern medicine, Si Liang will definitely be able to stand again. Don't be so pessimistic. Ming Jinxing quickly tried to comfort him, but inwardly he was complaining. At first, no one said he had to come back in perfect condition. Now that he's saved, they're being picky and blaming my Shen Xiao? Is Shen Xiao hurt? Old Chief Zhou asked again. Ming Jinxing's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly replied, that kid got hurt too. In such a dangerous situation, how could he come back unscathed? But he's always been lucky and tough. No matter how serious the injury, he hates going to the hospital and just treats himself and rests for a few days. In reality, Shen Xiao hadn't even lost a hair. All the blood on him was from Zhou Si Liang. But Ming Jinxing knew that if he told the truth, the petty Zhou family would overthink it again. Shen Xiao is a good kid. Xiao Ming, why not let him come to the capital? Old Chief Zhou praised him and suddenly made a request. Old Chief, please don't praise him. That kid has a terrible temper and hasn't mastered his skills. I can't let him go out and cause trouble for other military districts. It's better to let him mess around here until I can train him properly before sending him to you. Ming Jinxing laughed it off, refusing to engage. He was joking. Shen Xiao was his treasure, and he wouldn't give him up for anyone. Besides, the Zhou family wanting Shen Xiao to go to the capital surely had bad intentions. A strong dragon can't fight a local snake. No matter how much Shen Xiao couldn't stand it, if he went to the Zhou family's territory, he would suffer greatly. He still wanted to rely on Shen Xiao for face, so he couldn't send him into the lion's den. Jinxing, you really take good care of this kid. Old Chief Zhou smiled, but he wasn't a fool. He could hear that Ming Jinxing was defending Shen Xiao. Old Chief, you always taught us to treat our soldiers like our own children. I have always remembered your teachings. Ming Jinxing's words were a mix of humor, flattery, sarcasm, and a bit of foolishness. He had served under Old Chief Zhou for a short time, so their bond wasn't deep. Old Chief Zhou chuckled a few times, realizing Ming Jinxing wouldn't compromise, and changed the subject, chatting for a bit before hanging up. Ming Jinxing wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and muttered to himself, darn it, scheming is really exhausting. I'd rather go to war. Xiao Zhang, call that brat Shen Xiao over. Ming Jinxing shouted outside, and his aide Xiao Zhang ran off to fetch him. An hour later, Shen Xiao arrived. Dressed in a sharp military uniform, he looked handsome and serious, attracting the attention of many female soldiers along the way. When will the bonus be given? Shen Xiao asked as soon as he entered. He had been back for 2 days, and the 1,000 yuan bonus still hadn't arrived. Ming Jinxing was so angry he laughed, gritting his teeth. So you went to save Zhou Si Liang just for the money?
Yep.
Shen Xiao answered honestly. He and Zhou Si Liang weren't close friends. Ming Jinxing was frustrated but couldn't do anything about it. After all, this brat was his treasure. Shen Xiao would be a treasure in any military district, but without him in the Shanghai military district, Ming Jinxing couldn't show off. Old Chief Zhou just called and said Zhou Si Liang is ruined. Okay. Shen Xiao replied calmly, if he was ruined, he was ruined. At least he was still alive. Don't you want to say something? Ming Jinxing felt a bit annoyed. Although the Zhou family was a bit ungrateful, he suspected this kid hadn't given his all. Otherwise, with Shen Zhao's skills, Zhou Si Liang wouldn't be in such a bad state. Zhou Si Liang is still alive. Shen Xiao emphasized that he had completed his mission successfully. Ming Jinxing twitched his lips, too lazy to scold him further. After all, Zhou Si Liang was indeed alive, and the mission was accomplished. I'll hurry up the bonus, and you can take 3 days off to rest. Shen Xiao stood up and tossed a paper package onto the table. It was the cigarettes Tang Nian had given him. Ming Jinxing liked to smoke, but Mrs. Ming was strict and forbade him from smoking, so he could only sneak it. He looked quite pitiful. What's this? Ming Jinxing was taken aback and curiously picked it up. It felt light. Shen Xiao had already left the room and ignored him. Ming Jinxing opened the package, revealing dozens of cigarettes. The rich tobacco aroma filled the air, and his eyes lit up as he carefully placed them in his drawer. You little brat. Ming Jinxing happily lit a cigarette, exhaling smoke, feeling both love and hate for Shen Xiao. Shen Xiao returned to Zhuqing that day. With 3 days off, he needed to find Nian Nian. Tang Village. Tang Nian Nian was playing on the mountain. Many people from Tang Village were up there digging for spring bamboo shoots. At this time, the shoots were big and tender, weighing over 10 pounds each. After bringing them home, they would be sliced, cooked, and dried for sale at the county's collection station. Every year, apart from earning work points in the fields, Tang Village relied on spring earnings. Early tea, dried bamboo shoots, and Mao bamboo were all extra income. The mountain was particularly lively these days, with almost all the men from the village digging for bamboo shoots to bring home, while the women cooked and dried them. The division of labor was efficient. Selling dried bamboo shoots earned much more than working in the fields. If done well, one could earn dozens of yuan in a single spring. Tang Nian Nian was picking mushrooms on the mountain, leisurely wandering with Bai Sui and Jiu Jin, carrying a basket. The educated youth were busy trying to earn extra money, and Lu Jinglan was also there. But she was distracted, constantly glancing at Tang Nian Nian, growing more suspicious that this annoying girl had been reborn. Taking advantage of Tang Nian Nian being alone, Lu Jinglan quickly ran over and whispered, "Changyuan Trading Company. Good dogs don't block the way." Tang Nian Nian pushed her away and rolled her eyes. She had never heard of Changyuan Trading Company. Lu Jinglan was sneaky, clearly up to no good. "You don't know Changyuan Trading Company?" Lu Jinglan's voice rose, sounding a bit excited, but her expression was doubtful. This was clearly a company founded by Tang Nian Nian in her past life. How could she remain indifferent upon hearing it? "Is it your family's? So you're a capitalist princess." Tang Nian Nian truly hadn't heard of Changyuan Trading Company and didn't understand why Lu Jinglan was asking, but that didn't stop her from labeling the woman. She deliberately spoke loudly, and people on the hillside turned to look, their expressions filled with excitement, as if they were about to witness a big event. It was big news that the educated youth Lu Jinglan was actually the daughter of a capitalist. The villagers stopped digging bamboo shoots, put down their hoes, and gathered around Tang Nian Nian and her friends. "Nian Nian, who is the capitalist's daughter?" someone asked on purpose. "Her." Tang Nian Nian pointed at Lu Jinglan. "I'm not. You're talking nonsense. My whole family is working class." Lu Jinglan's eyes were panicked, and her usual soft voice turned sharp and piercing. Tang Nian Nian had a thought. This was the second time. Every time her background was mentioned, Lu Jinglan would panic, clearly feeling guilty. It was time to investigate the Lu family. "Then why were you just talking about Changyuan Trading Company?" "My family is poor. I've never heard of any company. If you're working class, why do you always show off Changyuan Trading Company in front of me?" Tang Nian Nian's argument made sense to the villagers. They hadn't heard of Changyuan Trading Company either. Their families had been farmers for generations and knew nothing about companies. Maybe Changyuan is her family's business. Since she arrived, she hasn't done any work, acting like a spoiled capitalist daughter. Just look at her face. It's even whiter than the landlord's wife. The landlord's wife works hard. This woman weeds like she's scratching an itch, can't tell weeds from seedlings, and spills half a bucket of water every time she goes to fetch it. The working class isn't as delicate as her. She changes clothes every day. Her waist is as tight as a girl from a brothel. I even saw her washing her hair with eggs. Who but a capitalist's daughter would do that? The villagers all chimed in, not giving Lu Jinglan a chance to speak, and she was indeed feeling guilty and didn't dare to retort. Lu Jinglan wasn't too panicked. Her family was indeed working class, and even if they investigated in the capital, they wouldn't find anything. She was in the right and sat straight, not afraid of Tang Nian Nian's accusations. But how could Tang Nian Nian not know about Changyuan Company? Wasn't she supposed to be reborn? But why was this Tang Nian Nian so different from her past self? Lu Jinglan's head throbbed with confusion, and the villagers' annoying chatter made her feel irritated. She lost control and shouted, "Tang Nian Nian, don't think you can slander me. I won't let you get away with it." After shouting, she realized her mistake and regretted it. She should have kept her cool. Are you crazy? Tang Niannian rolled her eyes and pushed her away. Lu Jinglan stumbled back several steps, lost her balance, and rolled down the grassy slope. It had rained yesterday, and the grass was wet, splashing water all over her. Her hands and face were cut by sharp blades of grass, leaving streaks of blood. Tang Niannian, are you a mad dog, biting everyone you see? Lu Jinglan was both pained and angry. She struggled in the grass for a bit before finally crawling out, looking disheveled. Bai Sui. Tang Niannian snorted, and a yellow shadow dashed out. Before anyone could react, Bai Sui knocked Lu Jinglan down into the grass. Bai Sui's sharp teeth were against Lu Jinglan's delicate neck. One bite could break it. This is what biting looks like. Tang Niannian walked over to Lu Jinglan and stepped on her face, gradually applying pressure. Let me go. Tang Niannian, are you insane? Lu Jinglan screamed, too scared to move for fear of being bitten by Bai Sui. But having her face stepped on with such force was humiliating. Since her rebirth, everything had gone smoothly for her, but she had suffered greatly at the hands of this wretched girl.
Captain.
Lu Jinglan wanted to call for the captain, but Tang Niannian didn't give her the chance and pressed harder, knocking her chin. Are all the women in your family this cheap? You and Yang Hongling really are good sisters. Tang Niannian switched to the other side of her face, preferring symmetry in her actions. The villagers didn't intervene. They knew where they stood, and since Lu Jinglan usually looked down on them, they were happy to watch the show. However, they also became more wary of Tang Niannian, deciding they shouldn't offend her in the future. Tang Niannian thoroughly humiliated Lu Jinglan, leaving her face deformed with symmetrical shoe prints that looked quite striking, though a bit dirty.
Get lost.
Tang Niannian lifted her foot, and Lu Jinglan struggled to get up, her eyes filled with hatred. She wouldn't forget this humiliation. She would repay Tang Niannian 100-fold in the future. The captain appeared right on cue and scolded. Aren't you all supposed to be working? Can you earn points by standing around? Do you want to starve? The villagers scattered and resumed digging bamboo shoots. Captain, Tang Niannian bullied me, pushed me into the grass, and stepped on my face. Lu Jinglan choked on her words, tears hanging on her eyelashes, looking somewhat pitiful. Unfortunately, her face was ruined by the shoe prints. The captain almost laughed when he saw her face. He forced a serious expression and sternly asked, Tang Niannian, is what she said true? She's lying. She rolled down the slope herself and landed at my feet, almost tripping me. I haven't even settled the score with her, and she's already playing the victim, just like Yang Hongling. Tang Niannian denied it and turned the blame back on Lu Jinglan. Lu Jinglan trembled in anger, pointing at the villagers and saying, they all saw it. It was Tang Niannian who pushed me and stepped on my face. I didn't see anything. I was focused on digging bamboo shoots, saw nothing. Digging bamboo shoots is more important. We're earning points, saw nothing. Niannian pushed Lu Jinglan? I didn't know. The villagers shook their heads, claiming they saw nothing. Lu Jinglan's face turned pale with anger. She had never seen such a shameless village. Everyone was in cahoots with Tang Niannian. Lu Jinglan, I told you last time to behave and work hard, not to cause trouble. Didn't you hear me? The captain scowled and reprimanded her publicly, giving her no face at all. I will behave, Captain. I'm injured and need to go back to rest. Lu Jinglan gritted her teeth and spoke each word clearly. She would remember this grudge and make them all pay later. The captain looked annoyed and said, You can take a 0 for today. Go home. Thank you, Captain. Lu Jinglan bit her lip, showing no signs of dissatisfaction, and left with her head down. She had to endure. Once she married Zhou Siren, she would be able to hold her head high. She planned to go to town today to call home. If all went well, she could return to the capital in a few days. Lu Jinglan comforted herself and felt a bit better. She was confident about winning Zhou Siren over. After her rebirth, she had created several chances to meet him, and they had become friends. After coming to the countryside, they exchanged letters frequently. Originally, she hoped it would happen naturally, but now that the situation was urgent, she had to use some tactics. This time, she would not let Tang Niannian win. Zhou family in the capital. As soon as old Master Zhou returned, he called a family meeting attended by the 3 generations of Zhou men. Zhou Siren was also there. He and Zhou Siling were cousins and had a good relationship. Since childhood, he had always followed Zhou Siling around. Learning that his cousin had become disabled made Zhou Siren very upset, and he deeply hated Xin Xiao. Siling must not leave the army. The Zhou family needs a successor. Old Master Zhou spoke firmly. Among his grandsons, only Zhou Siling had the best talent, while Siren was a bit lacking and not interested in the military. He also didn't have the energy to train anyone else. The best solution now was to heal Siling. Dad, I asked the hospital, and the hope is very slim, the eldest son of the Zhou family said cautiously. He was Zhou Siling's father and also in the army, but his abilities were average, holding a not-so-important position. The eldest son wanted his son to recover, but he had already consulted the best doctors in the capital, and the chances of recovery were minimal. So he thought the best way was to train a new successor and not waste time on Siling.
Dad, we can let Siren go to the army.
The second son of the Zhou family was in a good mood. He was also in the army but slightly more capable than the eldest brother. However, old Master Zhou always favored the eldest son, which he found unfair. He felt sorry for Siling, but everything should be for the greater good. His son, Siren, was also quite capable. I don't want to go. Zhou Siren strongly resisted going to the army. He longed for freedom and disliked a constrained life. Once in the army, everything would be regulated, and he couldn't stand that. What does it matter to you what adults decide? The second son glared at him, secretly cursing his son for being foolish and not seizing such a good opportunity. As long as he won over old Master Zhou, he could become the successor of the Zhou family, and the second branch could finally hold their heads high. Zhou Siren looked displeased, but didn't dare to speak up again. Old Master Zhou watched his 2 sons secretly compete with each other. Though he didn't show it, he was already furious inside at these 2 useless sons. Siren will not go to the army for now. He has another task. He will go to Tang village in Jia province the day after tomorrow to support construction. Go home and pack your things. Dad, why suddenly send Siren to the countryside? He has never worked a day in his life. How can he handle it? The second son was shocked. This news was too sudden. Get out. I need to talk to Siren alone. Old Master Zhou's face turned cold, and the 2 sons obediently left, leaving only the grandfather and grandson in the study. Do you know why I'm sending you to the countryside? I don't know, but Grandpa must have his reasons. Zhou Siren shook his head, though he felt the name of the place was somewhat familiar. There is a secret medicine that can heal your cousin, and it is likely in Tang village, old Master Zhou said. Grandpa, you want me to go there to find the medicine? Who should I ask? Old Master Zhou took a photo from the drawer. It was of a beautiful girl, Tang Nianyan. This was the photo she submitted when applying for a job. There's a rumor about the Tang family in Hu City. They have a secret medicine that can bring people back to life, no matter how severely they are injured, old Master Zhou said lightly. Grandpa, do you really believe such legends? It must be fake. There's no such thing as a life-restoring medicine in the world. Zhou Siren was amused and thought his grandfather was a bit delusional. No, it really exists. Old Master Zhou smiled mysteriously because he had seen it with his own eyes. I have dealt with the Tang family before. Their eldest son was weak and sickly at birth, and many doctors declared him dead. However, after 100 days, he suddenly became healthy, just like a normal child. The Tang family claimed they found a Western doctor, but they actually used their ancestral secret medicine. Old Master Zhou had always been very interested in the Tang family's secret medicine. Others didn't believe it, but he was convinced. He had seen the Tang family's eldest son, who was skin and bones, barely hanging on to life. No Western doctor could save him. Only that legendary secret medicine could. Grandpa, where are the Tang family now? Zhou Siren kept glancing at the photo in his grandfather's hand, feeling curious. He really wanted to take a look at it. The Tang family has escaped, but they left behind a young girl. This one. When you go to Tang Village, get close to her, win her favor, and find out where the Tang family's treasure is. The secret medicine is likely there. Old Master Zhou handed the photo to his grandson. Although it was black and white, Tang Nianyan's bright eyes and charming smile made her stunningly beautiful. Zhou Siren was captivated. As a young master of the Zhou family, he was used to being around attractive girls, but none compared to the girl in this photo. If she looked this beautiful in a photo, how stunning would she be in person? If you like her, marrying her is fine, but the Tang family treasure must be the dowry. Old Master Zhou spoke dismissively. A capitalist's daughter? If it weren't for the treasure, he wouldn't agree to his grandson marrying her. But for Siling's health, he had to temporarily compromise with Siren. Grandpa, does she know where the treasure is? Zhou Siren asked excitedly. Now his thoughts had changed, and he couldn't wait to go to Tang Village to meet this beautiful girl. She probably doesn't know. The Tang family went to the other side 17 years ago, when she was just born. The Tang family entrusted her to the locals, but they must have left clues. Besides, Tang Village is the Tang family's ancestral home, so the treasure must be there. Old Master Zhou had long been tempted by the Tang family's wealth. The Tang family had been in business since the previous dynasty, accumulating immense wealth over generations. Besides the secret medicine, there should be plenty of treasures that would eventually belong to the Zhou family. Although he was envious of the Fu family's wealth, he knew he couldn't obtain it. The Tang family was not inferior to the Fu family, and as long as he could get it, the Zhou family would surely thrive. An hour later, Zhou Siren came out of the study, remembering his grandfather's words. The girl's name was Tang Nianyan, and she was 17. His task was to marry Tang Nianyan and use the Tang family treasure as a dowry. This was a task he liked. Zhou Siren eagerly returned to pack his bags. He felt that the day after tomorrow was too late and should leave tomorrow instead. He couldn't wait to meet Tang Nianyan. Tang Village, Lu Jinglan was supposed to go to town to make a phone call, but the weather turned bad, and it started to rain. The road to town would surely be muddy, and she disliked walking on such muddy paths, so she decided to wait for the rain to stop. However, the rain lasted for 2 days. When Lu Jinglan finally went to town to make the call and returned home, she learned that Zhou Siren had gone to the countryside. Why did he suddenly go to the countryside? Where did he go? Lu Jinglan was anxious. Why was this different from her previous life? Clearly, Zhou Siren went to the countryside in autumn in her past life. Was she not reborn, but just having a nightmare? Were the events of her past life merely scenes from a dream? The Lu family didn't know where Zhou Siren had gone, only that he had left the capital. After hanging up the phone, Lu Jinglan felt lost. With Zhou Siren gone from the capital, she had no reason to return. What would she do if Zhou Siren went to another place? Deeply affected, Lu Jinglan lost her spirit and stayed in her house for several days without coming out. Tang Nianyan was unaware of this. She was in the county town playing with Xin Xiao. Actually, they didn't go anywhere. They mostly stayed in their space. Xin Xiao was busy farming and building, while Tang Nianyan comfortably lounged around, occasionally giving him kisses as rewards. With kisses as motivation, Xin Xiao worked even harder, often coming over to ask for more kisses. This time, Xin Xiao brought a whole box of shiny jewels, just a third of his collection from the past years. Red, white, green, blue, pink, purple. Colorful gems that made Tang Nianyan's heart soar. She stored them in their space. Xin Xiao specially made her a gem storage house and was preparing a jewelry box with compartments for organizing the gems. He was busy with that now. Is Zhou Xiliang really out of the picture? Tang Nianyan asked happily. Zhou Xiliang was the main culprit who attacked Xin Xiao in her past life and was responsible for his death. Good riddance. Yes, he's out. The bonus hasn't been given yet. I'll give it to you when it comes. Xin Xiao was unhappy. This bonus was delayed, and he decided to take his time with future tasks. Don't rush to take on tasks anymore. We're not short on money now. Look, this is what I just earned. Tang Nianyan pulled out a large stack of cash from her bag, her share from selling sock machines, several thousand. When the sock factory is up and running, I'll earn even more and can support you. She revealed all her savings, with cash totaling over 20,000, plus Shen Zhao's salary, making it over 30,000. In this era, that was definitely a fortune.
Great.
Shen Zhao didn't refuse or feel embarrassed about being supported by a woman, but he still wanted to take on tasks. Not just for the money. He wanted to rise higher, to a position where even the Shin family would look up to him, to avenge his mother and himself, and to protect Nian Nian and his uncle. Only by being in a high position could he protect those he cared about. What do you want for lunch? Tang Nian Nian got up to prepare lunch. Braised pork and white-cut chicken. Shen Zhao named two of his favorite dishes. The little chickens in their space grew quickly, 3 times faster than outside, making it perfect for white-cut chicken. Tang Nian caught a small hen and picked some strawberries. She had planted a small patch from seeds she collected from the apocalypse, and they were already bearing fruit. Her space was great, except for not being able to farm on its own. Plants and animals grew almost 3 times faster, and as long as she didn't pick the fruits, they would stay fresh forever. The small hen weighed about 3 to 4 pounds. After plucking and cleaning it, she steamed it, then killed a rabbit for spicy rabbit pieces, made a large bowl of braised pork, stir-fried some greens, and prepared a loofah and egg soup. Once the dishes were ready, Tang Nian mixed a bowl of sauce.
Time to eat,
she called out. The dining table was a nice round table left by the landlord. Shen Zhao rode over on a cow. The little calf they had collected had grown a lot and could carry a person now. Tang Nian took out a large basin specially for Shen Zhao, slightly smaller than a wash basin, filled it to the brim, and then brought out a large bowl, the same size as Shen Zhao's, filled with rice, adding meat soup and some vegetables for a balanced meal. Woof.
No vegetables.
Bai Sui protested, wondering why it always had to eat grass. It wasn't a sheep. If you don't eat vegetables, your mouth will smell bad, and there will be no kisses from female dogs in the future. Tang Nian's words silenced Bai Sui. It stood still, thinking for a few minutes, its mind in turmoil. Kisses or meat, which was better? A few minutes later.
Woof.
Add some vegetables. Bai Sui asked for more. It ate meat every day, but hadn't tried kissing yet. Tang Nian smiled, thinking, look at you, I'm an intelligent scholar. I can handle a dog. She added a big handful of vegetables to the basin, mixed it up, and instinctively brought it to her mouth before realizing. Her face turned dark. She had picked up the habit of feeding herself like a baby. Indeed, one is influenced by their surroundings. This had to change. Tang Nian tossed the chopsticks aside, grabbed another pair, and asked Shen Zhao, Zhou Xiliang is out. The Zhou family will definitely hold a grudge against you, so be careful. Not afraid. Shen Zhao focused on eating. The Zhou family's influence was in the capital and couldn't reach Hu City. Moreover, the Zhou family was on the decline, the old man was aging, both sons were useless, and only Zhou Xiliang was slightly capable, but now he was out of the picture. The rest were not a threat. Though Shen Zhao wasn't one to think too much, it didn't mean he lacked intelligence. He was climbing up while the Zhou family was going down. He would eventually surpass them. He certainly wouldn't underestimate them now. Tang Nian didn't say anything more. Shen Zhao was quite capable in both strategy and strength, so she didn't need to remind him much. Do you have contacts in the capital? I want to investigate a household. I'll look into it. Which family? Tang Nian mentioned Lu Jinglan's suspicious behavior. I suspect her family has issues. This woman is always targeting me. I need to deal with her first. I know about the Lu family. Shen Zhao's expression turned serious. He would get to the bottom of it. For the next 3 days, they stayed in their space. Tang Nian occasionally went out to check for phone calls. They enjoyed their time in the space, and 3 days flew by. Shen Zhao had to return to his team, and Tang Nian filled him with a jar of spiritual spring water and added some weapons before sending him off with peace of mind. Without Shen Zhao in the space, Tang Nian didn't want to stay any longer. She took the repaired sock machine to Brother Ba and picked up another batch. Brother Ba had brought over about 100 scrap sock machines from Hang City, buying them at 15 each. Someone has already gone to intercept. I need to hurry. Brother Ba said angrily. You can't run out of money.
Tang nian advis.
The business acumen of the Chinese is ingrained in their genes. She remembered a Japanese restaurant in Europe owned by people from Wenzhou. The locals, feeling competitive, claimed they would open an authentic Japanese restaurant, but ended up losing everything and leaving in disgrace. Brother Ba's success wouldn't stay hidden for long. It was normal for others to follow suit and try to grab business. There's enough money to be made together. Eating alone isn't fun. Keep my 30 machines separate. I'll come to pick them up later, Tang Nian instructed. The captain was finalizing the paperwork, and once everything was in order, they could set up the factory. She wanted to bring a few sock machines and acrylic back to Tang Village for her second aunt to start teaching. For now, they didn't need a skilled sample maker. Her second aunt could handle making simple pattern socks. Once the factory was stable, they could hire a skilled sample maker to produce new styles. Brother Ba had no problem with that. He now respected and feared Tang Nian, not daring to have any small thoughts, having seen what happened to He Fashing. His son had just turned 1. He wanted to live a few more years. When Tang Nian returned to her place, the telephone booth lady said someone named Qian Yuanyuan called for her to return. Qian Yuanyuan was the full name of Director Qian. Every time she heard that name, Tang Nian wanted to laugh. The cute name Yuanyuan was hard to connect with the ambitious Director Qian. Tang Nian called Director Qian back. The phone rang once before it was answered, and Director Qian's loud voice came through. Hello, this is Qian Yuanyuan. Director Qian, it's Tang Nian. Tang Nian couldn't help but smile.
Little Tang.
Director Qian's voice suddenly got much louder, sounding very American, like a booming bell. Tang Nian stayed quiet, listening to what Director Qian had to say next. Little Tang, do you have time now? Come to the factory. We have big work. Director Qian said excitedly. After his persistent efforts, with worn-out shoes and a dry throat, he finally got in touch with the turbine factory in Hangcheng. If they did well this time, big jobs would keep coming. Having gained insight from the turbine factory, Director Qian now fully agreed with Tang Nian's views. Small jobs were nothing. Big jobs were what mattered. From now on, he wouldn't bother competing with that scoundrel Wu Songyuan. The Red Star factory had its struggles too, so he would let them handle the small jobs. He couldn't enjoy the meat from the Jinjin factory and also drink the soup. One must be kind. At that moment, Director Qian's demeanor changed significantly, and his forehead seemed to shine with a holy light. As long as he secured the turbine factory, he could get a promotion in 3 years. He would then be Wu Songyuan's boss, so he needed to be broad-minded and generous. He couldn't be petty like before, fussing over small matters. So embarrassing. I'll come over now. Tang Nian hung up and gave the phone booth lady 2 dimes. Was that a call from your workplace, little Tang? The lady was very curious. This pretty girl had bought a house from Teacher Wang and had moved in but was rarely seen, making her seem mysterious. However, many men had called looking for her, which made the lady wonder, but she didn't dare to say anything. First, Tang Nian looked tough. Second, the man in military uniform next to her seemed even tougher.
Yes.
Tang Nian didn't deny it. It was indeed a call from her workplace. Why aren't you at work? The lady was even more curious, as she had never seen this girl working a 9 to 5 job. She always stayed indoors. I'm a special talent. I only go when needed. Tang Nian briefly explained, and then left. Just then, a few nearby aunties arrived, each carrying a basket full of vegetables, just back from shopping. They saw Tang Nian's back and their eyes lit up, rushing to ask the phone booth lady. That girl has a phone again? It was a call from her workplace, telling her to go to work. The lady replied honestly. Uft, she's just talking nonsense. She stays locked up all day. How could someone working have so much free time? One aunt scoffed, looking very disdainful. They say she's a special talent and only goes when needed, the lady explained. Special talent? More like a kept woman. All the calls are from men. She doesn't work, yet she can afford a house and a brand new car, dressed up all fancy. Where's she getting the money from? This sharp-tongued aunt, Aunt He spoke badly about Tang Nian Nian because she had offended her when she moved in. Aunt He's son worked at the same school as Teacher Wang, the previous owner of Tang Nian Nian's house. Teacher Wang's family was honest and cautious, not wanting to offend anyone. Aunt He's house was small with many people, so she asked her son to discuss with Teacher Wang about storing some of their things in his house. Teacher Wang agreed. However, those items stayed for years and were never moved, even after the house was sold. Teacher Wang tried to negotiate with Aunt He's family but couldn't win the argument, and in the end, he and Tang Nian Nian had to apologize and even offered to reduce the price by 100. Tang Nian Nian didn't lower the price. She could resolve such a small matter in an hour. After moving in, she moved Aunt He's things to the doorstep and informed them they had to take them away that day, or there would be consequences. Aunt He's family ignored her, thinking they could bully a delicate young girl. The next day, Tang Nian Nian called a tricycle driver to take the items to the recycling station. No matter how much they sold for, it would be the driver's gain. Although the items were old, they could still fetch a few bucks. The driver was thrilled, and in less than an hour, he cleared away the mountain of junk and cleaned up Tang Nian Nian's doorstep. Aunt He came over, causing a scene and cursing, but Tang Nian Nian only used one tactic. She brought out a basin of foot-washing water she had saved for the night and splashed it on Aunt He, soaking her completely. In March, Jiangnan was still quite cold, and Aunt He caught a cold after returning home, spending a few dimes on medicine and lying in bed for several days. When she recovered, she tried to cause trouble again but was scolded by the neighborhood office. Since then, Aunt He had hated Tang Nian Nian and spread bad rumors about her. She wears new clothes every day. If she doesn't work, where does she get the money? It must be from men. She probably has a new man every day. How shameless. How can someone like her live in our alley? Aunt He became increasingly outrageous, and others didn't dare to respond, looking awkward. Tang Nian Nian was clearly not someone to mess with. Her eyes looked like they could kill, and they didn't want to offend her. Moreover, Aunt He's family was in the wrong. Teacher Wang's family was accommodating, allowing them to store things, but that didn't make it right. Aunt He's family was indeed a bit excessive. Why are you all afraid of her? She's just a loose woman. If she annoys me, I'll report her and get her paraded through the streets. Aunt He was very unhappy with the lack of support from the others, and her words became sharper.
Ah!
Aunt He suddenly screamed, then stopped abruptly, unable to make a sound. Because something was stuffed in her mouth. At first glance it looked like poop, and upon closer inspection, it still looked like poop, but no one knew whose it was. Everyone stepped back, covering their noses. The smell was terrible, clearly from someone who ate meat every day. What a strange sight. How could poop fall from the sky in broad daylight? Not far away, Tang Nian Nian threw the wrapped poop into the trash can, pinching her nose with the other hand. She had to make sure Bai Shui ate vegetables. Eating meat every day made his poop stink.
Wang.
Does your poop smell good? Bai Shui sensed his owner's disgust and barked in protest. Who doesn't have smelly poop? Not as bad as yours. Sweet potatoes or cabbage, choose one. Tang Nian Nian said with a straight face, setting a trap for Bai Shui.
Wang.
Sweet potato. Bai Shui quickly chose the sweet potato, not wanting cabbage. But he soon realized he had been tricked again. He could have chosen nothing at all. One sweet potato a day. Bai Shui, you are the trustworthy dog king. Be a good example for Xiaohua and the others. Tang Nian Nian smiled, her eyes full of laughter. She had used the same trick for 3 years, but it still worked on Bai Shui. What a silly Bai Shui.
Wang.
Good for you, sis. Bai Shui turned his head away, not wanting to talk. He was exhausted. In the distance, Aunt He could be heard vomiting. She had dug out Bai Shui's poop and even swallowed some, bringing up last year's meals. Tang Nian Nian felt great and rode away on her bike, quickly arriving at the Jinjin factory, heading straight for Director Qian's office. Xiao Tang is here, come sit. Director Qian was as excited as if he had seen a fortune god. He personally helped Tang Nian Nian sit down, then made her a cup of premium Longjing tea, and placed a pack of trendy gold coin chocolates on the coffee table. Gold coin chocolates were introduced to Shanghai in 1974, so don't say they didn't exist in the 70s. He had heard that Wu Songyuan, that shameless guy, kept snacks like egg cakes and chocolates in the office just to flatter Xiao Tang. The chocolate wafers bought by director Wu were just regular chocolates. He wouldn't treat Xiao Tang with such ordinary things. He would get something high-end. So, Director Qian specially spent a lot to buy gold coin chocolates, something he wouldn't even buy for his own daughter. Tang Nian glanced at them, a bit surprised to see gold coin chocolates. This box must not be cheap. Director Qian was indeed generous. Xiao Tang, if you like chocolate, I'll buy you imported ones next time. Director Qian pushed the chocolates toward Tang Nian. Thank you. Tang Nian took a piece to try, as she hadn't tasted chocolate from this era before. The chocolate had a rich flavor, slightly bitter at first, but very sweet afterward, and it was delicious. It's good. Tang Nian complimented it because Director Qian was eagerly watching her, wanting praise. As long as it's good, I'll buy more in the future. Director Qian sighed in relief. As long as Xiao Tang liked it, he would tell the purchasing department to buy some chocolates every month and charge it to the factory's account. Xiao Tang was the factory's treasure. If she was happy, she would work well and lead the team to success. Tang Nian smiled and didn't refuse. It was just chocolate. She could handle it. What she brought to the team was far more valuable than chocolate. Director Qian brought out the blueprints for a big project he had just taken on, a large turbine with a diameter of 3 to 4 meters. The blueprints were large, at one size, and he spread them out on the table while Tang Nian stood to look. An A1 sheet is equivalent to 8 A4 sheets. She focused on the processing precision requirements and the processing technology, which were the most important points. Generally, the precision requirements for large parts aren't too high. They are rougher than small parts, but large parts are complicated to operate and can easily lead to accidents, requiring high standards for the machine tools. This job can be done with those 2 large machines. After a quick look at the blueprints, Tang Nian felt confident. Director Qian rubbed his hands together excitedly and said, "Our machines can definitely do it, but we need skilled operators. Can you handle it, Xiao Tang?"
Yes.
Tang Nian nodded. The requirements on the blueprints were not difficult for her. She thought for a moment and added, "Find a few smart high school students to help me out. I want to see if they can learn." She didn't want to do the simple tasks herself. She needed to teach a few apprentices, and I want to recommend someone, a temporary worker from the first workshop named Tang Jiangwo. He's my cousin. Tang Nian straightforwardly made her request. Tang Jiangwo was the eldest son of the team leader and had been a temporary worker for 3 years without getting a permanent position. It wasn't that Tang Jiangwo lacked skills. It was just that getting a permanent position was very difficult with so few opportunities. She had a good impression of the team leader's family and wanted to help them out. "Okay, I'll arrange that right away." Director Qian agreed, without hesitation. Even if Tang Jiangwo were illiterate, he would still help him get a permanent position. There were enough positions in the factory. Even if they said they were lacking, they could definitely arrange a few people. Tang Nian was very pleased with Director Qian's decisiveness. She liked straightforward people. "When can you arrange it?" "An hour." Director Qian planned to personally select the candidates. Besides Tang Jiangwo, he would choose the others himself, making sure not to pick any more connections. The last 2 operators he chose were connected to someone, and they were both incompetent, ruining his work. In the workshop, the machines were running loudly, making it hard to hear even when talking face to face. Tang Jiangwo was working on a piece. He had learned how to operate a boring machine for 3 years and was quite skilled. However, he never got a chance for a permanent position. He wasn't discouraged, as his uncle had been a temporary worker for 5 years without getting promoted. "Tang Jiangwo, the director is looking for you." The workshop director shouted from a few meters away, but the noise from the machines drowned him out, and Tang Jiangwo didn't hear. "Tang Jiangwo, the director is calling you." Someone nearby heard and shouted in his ear. Tang Jiangwo turned off the machine and ran over to the workshop director. "Director, did you need something?" "The factory director is looking for you." "You've done well, huh? You've quietly built a connection with the factory director." The workshop director spoke sarcastically. Just moments ago, the factory director's secretary had announced that they needed a list of high school students in the workshop under 30. Besides Tang Jiangwo, he was specifically requested by the factory director. The workshop director had always suppressed Tang Jiangwo because he was skilled and well-liked, making him more influential than the director. So, every time a permanent position opened up, he never included Tang Jiangwo's name on the list. Unexpectedly, this time, the young man had a chance to stand out. "Director, are you joking? I'm just a temporary worker. How could I know the factory director?" Tang Jiangwo responded calmly, not getting upset by the director's sarcasm, as it wouldn't help. He was just a small temporary worker and couldn't compete with the workshop director. He didn't expect to get a permanent position anymore. He just wanted to learn his skills. His second uncle, Tang Qingshan, often said that everything else was superficial, only good skills were real. "Enough. Stop pretending in front of me. Hurry to the second workshop." The workshop director looked annoyed and didn't dare say more. He couldn't afford to offend Tang Jiangwo now and needed to stay on his good side. If he had known this kid had a connection with the factory director, he wouldn't have made any trouble behind his back. "Tang Jiangwo, I've taken care of you these 3 years, right? If you succeed, don't forget me." The workshop director couldn't help but say, fearing that Tang Jiangwo would rise and seek revenge. Fortunately, only he knew about the little schemes he had, and Tang Jiangwo likely didn't. "Director, are you joking again?" Tang Jiangwo was even more confused. The workshop director seemed off today, acting strangely. He went to the second workshop where he recognized a few people. "I know what's going on. The factory just hired a skilled master who fixed those 2 foreign machines last time. The factory director brought in a big project, and this master will teach apprentices, selecting from among us." A young man excitedly explained. His uncle was the director of the second workshop and knew a lot of insider information. But he didn't know that the skilled master was a young woman. His uncle hadn't said, as the factory director required strict confidentiality about any information regarding Tang Nian to prevent outsiders from poaching. "Oh, if only I could learn to operate those foreign machines. I hope the master picks me. I think they only need 4. Everyone was excited, hoping to be chosen. The factory has a few imported machines, and the people who maintain and repair them earn higher wages. If they learn how to operate them, their salaries will definitely increase, and it will look impressive to others." Tang Jiangwo was also very excited, but he kept it to himself and waited quietly. "They're coming." A young man named Meng Ran, who was well-informed, peeked around the workshop door and spotted Director Qian from a distance. He quickly ran back, and everyone else fell silent, standing straight and waiting for the director's review. Director Qian arrived with Tang Nian, walking side by side. One was a middle-aged man with a bit of a bald head, and the other was a beautiful young woman, stunningly attractive. The selected candidates were all young boys, and when they saw such a pretty girl, they couldn't help but widen their eyes, secretly wondering if the director had hired a new secretary. Tang Jiangwo's eyes nearly popped out, his mouth agape in disbelief. Wasn't that his cousin? He had heard from his father that she was working as a special talent at Hongxing Factory, earning 98 yuan a month. He could hardly believe it and was looking forward to discussing it with her later. "Jiangwo, don't act like that. You have a wife," Meng Ran nudged him, reminding his friend not to go overboard. Even though the new secretary was beautiful, it was rude for a married man to stare. "You don't understand anything." Tang Jiangwo shot him a glare. This was his cousin. Tang Nian spotted her cousin from a distance and nodded at him. Tang Jiangwo had a million questions, but he stayed quiet and focused on listening to the director's speech. "This is Master Tang, our specially appointed technician who operates these 2 imported machines. I will select 6 of you to learn from Master Tang. Whether you succeed depends on your own abilities, understood?" Director Qian raised his voice, and everyone shouted in unison, "Understood." There were 12 people in total, all excited. Most were temporary workers, and although the director didn't say it outright, anyone who learned to operate the machines would surely get a permanent position. Some doubted Tang Nian's abilities, thinking she looked only 17 or 18. Could a young girl really operate such large machines? Was this just a joke? Though Tang Nian didn't speak, she observed everyone closely. Two of them showed disdain, and she quietly marked them off her list. After Director Qian finished speaking, he smiled at Tang Nian and said, "Xiao Tang, you choose." Tang Nian pointed at Tang Zhengwo. "Come here." Tang Zhengwo stepped forward immediately, standing behind his cousin. At that moment, he finally understood what the workshop director meant. No wonder the director called him out. It was for his cousin's sake. Tang Zhengwo felt a rush of emotions, and more questions filled his mind. How could his cousin, a special talent at Hongxing Factory, also be a specially appointed technician here? Was she juggling two jobs, or had someone poached her? Tang Nian had the remaining candidates stand by the machine. She briefly demonstrated on the control panel, performing the most basic operations. However, since these were imported machines, the control panel had a lot of foreign text, and being semi-automatic made it more complicated than regular machines. She didn't slow down her movements during the demonstration, wanting to identify those with real talent. Everyone was dazzled, hardly daring to blink. They saw her delicate fingers quickly pressing buttons. 1 minute felt like an hour, and they were sweating nervously. "Now you all demonstrate in my order," Tang Nian said coldly. She didn't turn on the power, so even if they pressed the buttons, the machine wouldn't start. The others lined up to demonstrate one by one. However, since Tang Nian's movements were too fast, they couldn't remember much, and the foreign text on the control panel made it even harder to recall. Still, some managed to remember a bit and attempted to operate based on their memory. Tang Nian watched with a cold expression, making them anxious, thinking they had no chance, and cold sweat began to pour down. Tang Zhengwo also volunteered to demonstrate. He didn't want people to think his cousin was showing favoritism. He hoped to prove his skills and silence the others. He had been watching her closely during her demonstration and remembered some of it. Tang Nian nodded, allowing Tang Zhengwo to try. Regardless of the outcome, she would teach him. She wouldn't bother teaching outsiders, but she would help her own. Tang Zhengwo performed even better than she expected, ranking among the top in the group. Tang Nian announced the results. Tang Zhengwo, 2 mistakes. Meng Rand, 3 mistakes. Zhang San, 4 mistakes. Li Si, 6 mistakes. The first 6 did relatively well, remembering most of the actions, while the others made mistakes right from the start. The best performers were Tang Zhengwo and Meng Ran. Director Qian quickly assessed the situation and kept the 6 with the best scores, sending the others back to the workshop. She demonstrated so quickly, afraid we'd learn. One of the eliminated candidates muttered, feeling disgruntled. Why did Tang Zhengwo get to step forward first? She's playing favorites. Another pointed out Tang Nian's special treatment of him. Director Qian's face darkened, ready to reprimand them. But Tang Nian spoke first, her voice clear and firm. "Tang Zhengwo is my brother. If you have a problem, keep it to yourself. Even if he's your brother, he shouldn't get special treatment. Director, aren't you going to do anything?" The eliminated 6 grew bolder, openly challenging her. They didn't take the young woman seriously, dismissing her as just a special talent, perhaps even the director's favorite. Tang Nian's expression turned cold, and she looked at Director Qian.
What are you arguing about?
If you lack the skills, blame no one but yourselves. Tang Zhengwo made only 2 mistakes, while you all made enough to make your ancestors jump out and scold you. Get back to the workshop, or I'll send you home to farm. Director Qian shouted, and the group fell silent, obediently returning to the workshop. The 6 chosen candidates were thrilled, secretly vowing to master their skills. "I'm not patient, and I have a bad temper, so be sharp." Tang Nian warned them up front, as she was not keen on teaching apprentices. The 6 felt a jolt of anxiety and focused intently. The turbine factory had brought in big jobs, stored in the warehouse, 6 pieces in total. Director Qian wanted the technician to move the parts, but Tang Nian refused. "I'll move them myself. Time to show off some skills." Today, Tang Nian wore a khaki trench coat, a new stylish piece she bought for 38 yuan from a department store. She took off the coat, changed into her work uniform, and put on a hat, tucking her hair inside to follow safety regulations strictly. There was a forklift in the workshop. Tang Nian hopped on, skillfully starting it. To everyone's astonishment, she drove it out of the workshop and headed towards the warehouse. Jiangua, is she really your sister? Meng Ran looked at her with admiration. She was the girl of his dreams. Is there a fake sister? She's my cousin. Tang Jiangua glared and rushed over to help, feeling uneasy inside. His cousin was known for being lazy, so lazy that one spring day, when the sun was shining and warm, everyone took off their heavy clothes. Suddenly, it started snowing in the afternoon, and everyone had to put their thick clothes back on. But Tang Nian refused to wear them, sticking to her thin clothes even though she was shivering and had a runny nose. When asked why she wouldn't change, she replied, "I'm too lazy to dig through the closet." As a result, she got scolded by their aunt, who forced her to wear the thick clothes. There were countless instances of her laziness, and Tang Jiangua couldn't understand when she learned all these tricks. Could it be that their great-uncles secretly sent her to the city to learn? Tang Jiangua felt he was onto something. Their great-uncle often said that Tang Nian's fortune was in the city, and it seemed that was true. Together with Meng Ran, Tang Jiangua loaded the parts onto a forklift. Tang Nian drove it back to the workshop, instructing the crane operator to lift the parts onto the machine for securing. In the mechanical workshop, there were specialized crane operators for lifting large parts, and the second workshop had them too. Under Tang Nian's direction, the crane operator accurately lifted the parts onto the machine. Tang Nian secured them, ensuring the screws were tightened. These large parts weighed several tons, and if the screws weren't tight, they could fly off during operation, causing a serious safety accident. The 6 of them watched intently as Tang Nian worked. First, check the blueprint for the process and precision requirements. Then, Tang Nian spoke steadily and clearly, explaining each step while the 6 listened carefully and took notes. Once the initial preparations are done, check again, close the protective cover, and press the start button. Remember, during processing, you must not open the protective cover. If you have to, pause the operation first. Make sure you remember this. Tang Nian emphasized the safety rule because she had seen someone get hurt before. When the machine was running, someone forced open the protective cover, and an accident happened. The factory even demanded compensation from the machine company, which later learned its lesson and set up an alarm system. Now, if the protective cover was opened while the machine was running, it would sound an alarm and stop processing. Since these 2 machines didn't have the alarm system, Tang Nian checked them, which is why she stressed the point. She planned to research and install an alarm device on these machines to prevent future accidents. The 6 of them diligently noted down, "Do not open the protective cover while running." Tang Nian pressed the start button, and the machine roared to life. The massive part began to turn inside the protective cover, and the cut-off cast iron curled up like a flower. Director Qian hadn't left. He wanted to witness the factory's bright future and this historic moment. After running for half an hour, the machine stopped. Tang Nian grabbed a large caliper and climbed onto the machine to measure the precision. It was still a bit off from the blueprint requirements, so another half hour of cutting would be needed. For such large parts, the precision allowance is usually wider, as they would undergo fine processing at the turbine factory later, making it not too difficult to operate. After another half hour, Tang Nian called the inspector to measure, and the precision was completely up to standard. They had done the work quickly and beautifully. They processed another part, and when it was time to leave, Tang Nian finished on time. She wouldn't work overtime. She was lazy. "Come back tomorrow. We can finish the rest. Don't touch these machines until it's your turn." Tang Nian warned the 6, noticing some of them itching to try operating the machines. If the machines broke, it was a small issue. If someone got hurt, it was a big deal. The 6 shook their heads in unison. They didn't dare. These machines were precious. If they broke them, they couldn't afford to pay for the damages. "Thank you, Xiao Tang. Let's have dinner together tonight." Director Qian smiled widely. Xiao Tang was impressive. In the future, they would be leaders in the Southeast machinery industry.
Sure.
Tang Nian readily agreed, The braised pork in the factory cafeteria was delicious. Big brother, I'll find you later, Tang Nian said to Tang Jiangua and walked away with Director Qian. Once they were far away, everyone came alive, surrounding Tang Jiangua with questions. Jiangua, how can your sister be so capable? She can even operate foreign machines. Why didn't you mention this before? How old is your sister? Does she have a boyfriend? Jiangua, look at me. I'm 20, my parents both work, and we have 3 rooms at home. All 5 young men were still single and from dual-income families, so they had high standards for partners. At that moment, they felt Tang Nian was a gift from heaven. Beautiful, capable, educated, she met all their criteria. My sister has a boyfriend, a military officer. Tang Jiangua's words silenced everyone. He had called home a few days ago, and his father said Nian's boyfriend was a childhood friend who is now a military officer. Quite impressive. The 5 of them looked disappointed. Although they thought they were decent, they couldn't compete with a military officer. Sigh. Just as budding love was beginning, it was abruptly cut off. After finishing her meal, Tang Nian enjoyed her favorite braised pork and steamed seafood, which tasted amazing. Feeling good after eating, she told Director Qian, "We can also bring in larger parts. I have connections."
Great.
Director Qian was thrilled. When he got home, he would enjoy a drink with some peanuts. As for showing off to Director Wu, he hadn't even thought about it. In the future, he would definitely be Wu Songyuan's boss. He needed to think big and embrace the ocean. After eating, Tang Nian went to the dormitory to find Tang Jiangua. He was married. His wife was a private teacher in Tang Village, and they usually lived with her family in town. They had a 2-year-old son who stayed with his mother, and the couple only returned to Tang Village for a few days during holidays. Tang Jiangua lived in a shared dormitory with 4 people in a room. He had already eaten and was waiting downstairs. Nian, why are you at Qinjin? Did you leave Hongxing? Tang Jiangua asked quietly. I'm working at both. It doesn't affect anything. Big brother, here, take this and study it well. Tang Nian handed him a piece of paper with the operation steps and diagrams she had noted down. In her past life, the Tang family had fallen apart, and Grandma Tang was bedridden, cared for by the brigade leader's family. Tang Jiangua had even personally looked after Grandma. Nian, how did you learn to operate foreign machines? When did you learn? Someone taught me. I'm smart. Tang Nian didn't want to make up excuses anymore and casually brushed it off. Tang Jiangua believed her. It matched his guess. It was indeed their great-uncle who secretly hired someone to teach her. Nian had always been clever, so it made sense she could learn. Nian, can I show this notebook to others? Tang Jiangua asked for permission, wanting to share it with a few friends. Do as you wish. Tang Nian didn't mind. Once she gave something away, she wouldn't worry about it anymore. Nian, where are you staying tonight? I can find you a guest house. Tang Jiangua offered. No need, I have a place. I'm leaving. Tang Nian turned and walked away, grabbed her bike from the parking shed, and rode back to her place. She needed to finish processing the remaining 4 parts tomorrow before heading back to Tang Village. Her grandma's clear urine egg should be ready by now, right? The next day, Tang Nian went to the factory to finish processing the last 4 large parts. Everything met the required standards, and Director Qian was very happy. He called the turbine factory to send someone for inspection. Once this batch passed inspection, he would have the confidence to request larger parts. I'm heading home now. Call me if you need anything, Tang Nian said as she changed out of her work clothes and into a trench coat, preparing to return to Tang Village. Do you want me to send a car for you? Director Qian asked with concern. No need. I'll ride my bike, she replied. There was only one old car in the factory, a Shanghai SH760, which was in terrible condition. Director Qian usually hesitated to drive it for fear of breaking it further. She reminded her 6 apprentices to study hard. Tang Jiangwo had shared her notes, and if they truly applied themselves, they would surely learn. The apprentices' attitudes had changed significantly. They were respectful now, unlike the playful demeanor they had yesterday. Although Tang Nian was younger and a woman, her real skills earned their respect. As she reached the parking shed, Light rain began to fall, pleasantly cool against her face. She didn't bother with a raincoat, it was just a bit of drizzle. However, as soon as she reached the factory gate, she heard a horn from the precious little car behind her. "Comrade Tang, Director Qian asked me to take you home," said the factory's dedicated driver, Master Xiao Mao, leaning out of the car. He was very polite. After all, the beautiful girl in front of him was the director's favorite. "No need to trouble yourself. I'll ride my bike," Tang Nian insisted, not wanting to ride in the car because she found it too shabby. She had plenty of luxury cars in her space, all brand new, but she couldn't take them out, so she could only enjoy them in her space. "It's raining. The director insists on taking you home to keep you dry," Master Xiao Mao said with a forced smile. The director had ordered him to ensure that Comrade Tang returned home without getting a drop of rain on her, fearing she might catch a cold, which would mean trouble for him. Understanding his predicament, Tang Nian agreed to get in the car. She placed her bicycle in the trunk, but the lid wouldn't close, so it remained open. Master Xiao Mao drove steadily, but no amount of skill could compensate for the poor road conditions. Once they left the county, the road was bumpy, making Tang Nian uncomfortable. Finally, they reached a fork in the road, about 10 miles from Tang Village, and she sighed with relief. The rain had picked up, and as she prepared to roll up the window, she spotted Tang Lujin walking quickly ahead, carrying a yellow-green patched backpack that was bulging, along with a bag in hand. Tang Lujin didn't have an umbrella. In fact, the Tang family didn't own such a luxury. They had an oil paper umbrella, but it was inconvenient to carry. Even in Tang Village, finding an umbrella was nearly impossible. On rainy days, wearing a raincoat was sufficient. There was no need to waste money on an umbrella. "Lu Jin," Tang Nian called out, asking Master Xiao Mao to stop. Tang Lujin turned and was surprised to see her second sister in the car. "How did you get in a car? What are you waiting for? Get in," Tang Nian urged, and only then did Tang Lujin react, cleaning the mud off his shoes on the grass before getting in. "Wipe your face." Tang Nian handed him a handkerchief, which he used to clean his face. Master Xiao Mao started the car again and continued toward Tang Village. After driving less than a mile, Tang Nian spotted another familiar face, her quirky uncle, Tang Mantong, jogging ahead with a large bag slung over his shoulder, dressed in a brown jacket, with curly hair and wide-leg pants splattered with mud. His outfit was quite a fashion statement at that moment. Tang Nian guessed he must have been wandering around Yangqing for the past 6 months. "Uncle, get in," she called to Master Xiao Mao to stop again. Tang Mantong turned around, revealing a handsome face with thick eyebrows and bright eyes. He looked charismatic, but at 25 years old, he was still unmarried. "Nian? Lu Jin? How did you end up in a car?" he asked, grinning widely as he placed his bag in the trunk and cleaned his shoes in the grass before getting in. As soon as he got in, he pulled out a pack of peony cigarettes, which cost 50 cents, a high-end brand at the time, and offered one to Master Xiao Mao. "Thanks for your hard work. What's your name?" "Not a problem. My last name is Mao," he replied. Tang Mantong was a natural conversationalist and soon struck up a lively chat with Master Xiao Mao, even learning that the driver's mother was about to celebrate her 60th birthday. Tang Nian admired her uncle. He was a born salesman, outgoing, confident, articulate, and a bit educated. Tang Mantong was a high school graduate, which made him somewhat of an intellectual in those times. They were still 5 or 6 miles from Tang Village, passing through Luoxia Village, which had a primary school that children from nearby villages attended, including those from Tang Village. The school was right by the road, and as the rain lightened, Tang Nian found the car stuffy and opened the window. A refreshing, cool breeze rushed in, but it was quickly followed by a strong smell of urine. Then came a familiar voice shouting, "You shameless old hag. Stealing urine? Do you drink it 3 times a day? You should be ashamed." That familiar voice belonged to her beloved grandmother. Tang Nian leaned out to see her grandmother, hands on her hips, fiercely shouting at a skinny old woman next to 2 large buckets of urine. "You're the shameless one. I didn't steal your urine. What's it to you?" The skinny old woman shot back, equally fierce. That's my urine. I already made arrangements with the school. If you love urine so much, I'll give you some every day. Her grandmother yelled. Tang Nian Nian couldn't help but twitch her mouth at the crude exchange. She figured out what was happening. Her grandmother's urine, which was supposed to be collected by the school, had been intercepted by the skinny old woman. This wasn't unusual. Every year around this time, the school's urine became a hot commodity, and fights over it were common. Tang Man Tong asked Master Xiao Mao to stop the car, so he could support his mother. Mom, who's bothering you? He asked, towering over the skinny old woman. That shameless old hag stole my urine. Her grandmother exclaimed, her face lighting up at the sight of her son, standing tall and proud. Nai, who stole your things? Tang Nian Nian asked as she got out of the car, her cool voice drawing the attention of all onlookers. Wow, she's in a car? She's not someone to mess with. Grandma Tang looked surprised and wanted to ask her granddaughter how she got to ride in a car, but she held back. She would ask later. Right now, she needed to get her urine back. The old lady stood up straighter and shouted, It's this shameless one who stole my urine for 2 days. The thin old woman's face changed dramatically. She hadn't expected Grandma Tang's granddaughter to arrive in a car. She must be someone important in the city, and she didn't want to provoke her. Who stole your urine? It doesn't have your name on it. Call it and see if it responds. The thin old woman's voice weakened, but her attitude remained tough. After all, she couldn't bear to part with 2 big buckets of urine. Does your urine talk? Do you have to call out a few times before you can go? If you had any sense, you wouldn't say such stupid things. Grandma Tang rolled her eyes, and every word was filled with insults. Tang Nian Nian felt like she could smell something unpleasant. You're the one who's foolish. Fine, I'll give you 1 bucket. The thin old woman backed down, not wanting to offend the granddaughter, who arrived in a car. Do I need your charity? Those 2 buckets of urine are mine. Grandma Tang jumped up, furious at the shameless old woman who treated her urine like a favor. How could she be so brazen? Tang Man Tong felt overwhelmed and didn't want to argue over 2 buckets of urine, so he said, Mom, I'll just produce more. It's just some young boy's urine. He has plenty of it. He goes 8 times a day. Tang Nian Nian and Grandma Tang both looked at him with the same doubtful expression. You don't have anything, so stay out of this. Grandma Tang slapped her son, clearly disgusted. Even though he was her son, she didn't believe he was still a pure girl, especially since he was always out and about. How could he possibly stay pure? The thin old woman had a strong grip, and her slap made Tang Man Tong wince in pain. He obediently stepped aside, looking disgruntled. He rarely spoke the truth, and yet his mother didn't believe him. Seeing Grandma Tang and the thin old woman about to argue again, Tang Nian Nian stepped in between them and said coldly, Stop arguing. Grandma, you go to the car first. What about the urine? Grandma Tang reluctantly pointed at the buckets, wanting to make her special dish with the urine.
I'll help you carry it. Tan Nian Nian Pumit.
Grandma Tang hesitated, but eventually got into the car, sticking her head out the window to keep a close watch. Facing Tang Nian Nian, the thin old woman's confidence weakened, and she wasn't as aggressive as before. Even if you're important, you can't just take my urine for no reason. The thin old woman gathered her courage. She had made a deal to take the 2 buckets back, and someone was supposed to give her 50 cents for it. Her grandson was waiting for that money to buy meat. Tang Nian Nian shifted her body to block Grandma Tang's view and quickly pulled $1 from her pocket, handing it to the thin old woman. Is this enough? Tang Nian Nian asked kindly, not wanting to take advantage of the poor. The thin old woman's clothes were patched up, and she looked pale, clearly struggling financially. Perhaps she really needed those 2 buckets of urine. It seemed unfair to expect someone to uphold morals when they were barely surviving. Most importantly, Tang Nian Nian didn't want to get involved over 2 buckets of urine. It felt beneath her. The thin old woman's expression changed, and she looked anxious as she stared at the money in her hand, afraid to accept it. It was too much. She feared something bad would happen if she took it. Just give me 50 cents, the thin old woman said quietly. 50 cents would be enough. My grandma is coming, Tang Nian Nian exclaimed, and the thin old woman quickly stuffed the money into her pocket and hurried away, disappearing in no time. Uncle, you carry it back. Tang Nian Nian went to the roadside to clean her shoes. It was troublesome in the rain, and her feet were muddy. I'm wearing all new clothes. Tang Man Tong looked disgusted. His clothes were the latest style, and he hadn't even had a chance to show them off. How could he carry urine? Grandma, Uncle won't carry the urine. Tang Nian Nian openly complained, and Grandma Tang shouted from the car, You're young and won't carry it, and you want me, an old woman, to do it? I raised you with my own hands, and you can't even do this little thing? It would be better to raise a pig. At least they're useful. I'll do it. Stop nagging. I'll do it. Hearing that familiar reprimand, Tang Man Tong felt his head spin. He glared at his niece, rolled up his pants, and obediently went to carry the urine. If you spill it, I'll smack you. Grandma Tang got out of the car, picked some grass from the roadside, and quickly tied 2 bundles to hold 1 bucket each. In the past, when people carried water or waste, they would put grass on top to prevent spills. It was quite effective. Mom, I'm grown up now. Don't hit me in public. Give your son some dignity. Tang Man Tong felt embarrassed and quietly reminded his mother. You're not married, you don't earn any points, and you can't rely on anyone. You still want dignity? Grandma Tang snorted, glaring at him without leaving any room for pride. What a useless child. If he weren't her own, she wouldn't even look at him. Tang Man Tong sighed and resigned himself to carrying the urine, walking away. After Tang Nian Nian got into the car, Driver Mao started the engine. Grandma Tang looked around the car, occasionally touching the seats, clearly fascinated. She had lived for over 60 years and had never ridden in a car before. In the author's hometown, many things have the word foreign in them. Matches are foreign matches, umbrellas are foreign umbrellas, and cars are foreign cars. This car is really comfortable. I won't get wet in the rain. Yan Yan, where did you get this car? It started to rain, and the factory manager sent a car to make sure I didn't get wet, Tang Nian Nian explained. Manager Wu? He's such a good person. Grandma Tang instantly felt very fond of Manager Wu, praising him several times. Driver Mao hesitated, wanting to clarify that it was actually their factory manager who did the good deed, not Manager Wu. Yeah, Grandma, just sit back. It's more comfortable that way.
Tang Nian Nian ziplit vaguli.
She hadn't told Grandma Tang about her part-time job at the factory, and she had also instructed Tang Jiangwo to keep it a secret from the brigade leader. It was okay to show off a little, but not too much. Otherwise, it could lead to trouble. Grandma Tang was indeed distracted. She leaned back and sighed comfortably. No wonder everyone wants to be an official. Riding in a car is so nice. How much did you give her just now? Grandma Tang suddenly asked. $1. I didn't give her any money. Tang Nian Nian blurted out without thinking, but she quickly corrected herself, though it was too late. She looked up and met Grandma Tang's piercing gaze. Have you got too much money? 2 buckets of urine for $1? Your uncle could easily earn that back in a few days. You spendthrift. No amount of gold or silver is enough for you to waste. Since there were outsiders in the car, Grandma Tang lowered her voice. If they were at home, she would have scolded her more. $1 hurt her more than losing a piece of her heart. A few dimes would have sufficed, but she was given a whole $1. After a few days without scolding, that girl got a little too bold. Isn't your uncle incapable? Tang Nian Nian spoke honestly. Tang Mantong was already 25. How could he still be a pure girl? Keep your voice down. Give your uncle some face. Grandma Tang shot her a glare. As a young lady, she shouldn't speak so openly. Tang Nian Nian rolled her eyes. Grandma was really double standard. She had shouted louder than anyone before. With that distraction, Grandma Tang successfully forgot about the $1 and didn't mention it again. Actually, she didn't have the energy to bring it up because she was feeling car sick. The car smells nice, but I feel a bit dizzy. At first, Grandma Tang thought the scent in the car was pleasant, but after a while, her head started to feel heavy and her stomach was churning. She thought she might throw up the vegetable porridge she had for breakfast. She held it in, not wanting to waste it. Grandma, pinch the web between your thumb and index finger. Tang Nian Nian instructed her to pinch that spot to help with the nausea. Grandma Tang pinched hard, and it did help ease her discomfort. She leaned back in her seat, too weak to say anything. No energy. Fortunately, they soon arrived at Tang Village. As they reached the village entrance, Grandma Tang insisted on getting out of the car, so Tang Nian Nian asked Master Mao to stop. Master Mao didn't want tea, but needed to use the restroom, so he stopped the car. As soon as the car came to a stop, villagers working nearby rushed over, curious, as if they were seeing a rare sight. When they saw the Tang family getting out of the car, it was like stirring a hornet's nest. "Aunt, how did you come back in a foreign car?" "Nian Nian, is this foreign car yours?" "Aunt, what's it like riding in a foreign car?" The villagers surrounded Grandma Tang, chattering nonstop, their eyes filled with envy. There was no jealousy left. The goal was too far away for them to be jealous. They could only feel envy. "Don't crowd around me. Let me catch my breath." Grandma Tang weakly waved her hand, asking them to disperse. She took a few deep breaths of fresh air and felt much better. "Nian Nian Lu Jin, take Master Mao home first. I'll rest here." Tang Nian Nian glanced at her grandmother and saw through her little scheme, but didn't say anything. This was her grandmother's only source of joy. Sure enough, after walking a few steps, Grandma Tang's loud voice rang out. "Oh, riding in a foreign car is quite comfortable, but I can't stand that smell. I felt dizzy and almost threw up my breakfast. No wonder they sing in the plays, wearing a dragon robe doesn't make one a prince. My old bones can't enjoy such luxury." "Aunt, you can still throw up after riding in a foreign car?" "Really? I don't throw up when I ride in a tractor." "Are you silly? A tractor has fresh air all around. How can it compare to a foreign car?" No wonder those officials eat less than cats. They must be afraid of throwing up in the car. The villagers felt like they had discovered something new, and their discussion grew louder. Soon, the topic shifted back to the foreign car under Grandma Tang's insistence. She proudly boasted, "Director Wu values my Nian Nian." It started raining, and he was worried Nian Nian would get sick, so he specially sent a driver to bring her back. "I was just going to school to collect urine and happened to run into them. Mantong is carrying it, and today is quite a coincidence. We met on the road, riding on my Nian Nian's good fortune. I can say I've ridden in a foreign car in my lifetime." Grandma Tang's dizziness was completely gone, and she felt energetic, enjoying the praise from everyone. They all praised her good fortune and her capable granddaughter. No one in the whole commune could match her luck. Grandma Tang loved hearing such compliments, her face beaming with joy. But then an untimely voice interrupted. "Aunt, has Mantong found a good partner yet? He's already 25, right?" The flowers on Grandma Tang's face instantly wilted. She glared at the woman who spoke and coldly replied, "Mantong isn't in a hurry to find someone. It's not that he can't find one. He just has high standards. Nian Nian has a good relationship with her uncle and has always said she wants to find a suitable aunt. He wouldn't be interested in just any girl." How rude of that woman to bring up such a topic, clearly trying to poke at her heart. Before the woman could respond, Grandma Tang quickly countered, "I remember your Xiaofang is already 21 and still hasn't found a partner? Although she looks decent, a girl shouldn't be kept too long. If you wait too long, even widowers won't want her." Successfully putting the troublemaker in her place, Grandma Tang felt great. She tilted her head, held it high, and let out a huff through her nose, striding away. She needed to go back and entertain Master Mao, with no time to deal with such people. Tang Nian Nian took a wild rabbit and a wild chicken out of the cage. She had brought plenty from her space and could kill them whenever she wanted. Just as she finished preparing, Grandma Tang returned and started bustling in the kitchen. Master Mao sat awkwardly in the living room, sipping tea. He didn't even know why he stayed. He had just said he was leaving, but when Tang Nian Nian looked at him, he found himself agreeing to stay for dinner. Fortunately, Tang Mantong returned, changed into clean clothes, and kept him company. They quickly got into a lively conversation. Lunch consisted of braised wild rabbit, wild chicken soup, and a bowl of steamed three delicacies, which Tang Nian Nian had bought the ingredients for and had the master chef at the factory cafeteria prepare. The payment was 3 packs of Zhonghua cigarettes. There were plenty of Zhonghua cigarettes in her space. Tang Nian Nian tore off the outer packaging, took out the cigarettes, and wrapped them in newspaper to give away, claiming she had acquaintances at the cigarette factory. The cafeteria chef had no doubts. Cigarettes from the factory were definitely loose, and packaging didn't matter as long as they tasted good. With 3 packs of Zhonghua cigarettes, the chef and Tang Nian Nian became good friends. Her influence was even greater than that of the factory director. Master Mao was a bit surprised. Such a rich meal was something he only saw during the New Year. Usually, having a meat dish was already impressive. Has the food in the countryside improved so much now? Master Mao ate heartily, and his impression of Tang Nian Nian was excellent. Director Qian had given him side jobs before, but no one had been as generous as Tang Nian Nian. Just offering him a cigarette was considered polite. After resting for a while, Master Mao said his goodbyes. He had to return to the factory. Tang Nian Nian didn't say much. She grabbed 2 wild rabbits, 2 wild chickens, and 2 bags of sweet potato chips from the cage. Her aunt had just dried them, and each bag weighed about 2 pounds. She stuffed everything into the car and told Master Mao, "Half of this is for Director Qian. Please give it to him." That's too much, Tang Master. You're too kind." Master Mao stumbled over his words. He didn't dare take so much. "They're from the mountains, no charge. Be careful on the road." Tang Nian Nian was brief. She tossed the items in and closed the car door. The sweet potato chips were the only valuable items. She had plenty of wild rabbits and chickens in her space and needed to give some away. Master Mao opened his mouth, feeling guilty. Earlier, he was a bit annoyed because of the rain and all the people coming up. Even though he wiped his shoes in the grass, he still got dirt on the car. He would have to wash it when he got back, which was a hassle. Now he felt uneasy. It was just washing a car. It was part of his job. Why should he be bothered? Tang Master was so generous. If he kept complaining, was he even human? "Tang Master, if you need anything in the future, just let me know." Master Mao looked determined to repay Tang Nian Nian's kindness.
Sure.
Tang Nian Nian didn't hesitate. Nowadays, drivers are seen as high-status professionals, and some people even take pride in knowing a driver. At first, she didn't want to hitch a ride in the factory car, thinking it would be a hassle. But after hearing Grandma Tang bragging at the village entrance, she changed her mind. Since Grandma liked it, she might as well ride a few more times. The news of Grandma Tang taking a car home spread quickly in the village during lunchtime. In the afternoon, when Grandma Tang went to work, everyone surrounded her with questions, and she boasted again. Tang Mantong had been on the train for days, feeling tired and sleepy. After lunch, he took a shower and went to sleep, only to be woken up by Grandma Tang's loud slap. "Sleeping all day. Even pigs aren't this lazy. You better go to work tomorrow. If you dare run off again, I'll send your father to teach you a lesson in your dreams." Grandma Tang, holding a feather duster, scolded her youngest son. Tang Mantong was born when she was 38, so she spoiled him a bit too much. He was more obedient when his father was alive, but after his father passed away, he became like a mischievous monkey, always out and never home. Now nearing 30 and still single, Grandma Tang was both angry and worried. She feared she wouldn't see her son get married before she closed her eyes. If that happened, how could she face her husband? "Mom, be gentle. I brought you something good." Tang Mantong quickly jumped out of bed and rummaged through his old clothes until he pulled out a paper package containing a stack of money he earned over the past few months. Grandma Tang snatched the money, counted it quickly, and found it was over 520 yuan. Her eyes lit up, and she quickly closed the door and asked quietly, "Did you get involved in shady business again?" "Mom, don't worry about what I do. This money is real. You can spend it." Tang Mantong was quite bold and didn't feel ashamed about his dealings. In this day and age, how much money can you make by farming honestly? No one ever got rich from farming. The wealthy are either officials or merchants. He would rather be called lazy than toil in the fields. Grandma Tang quickly stuffed the money into her pocket and warned him, "You better behave and stay away from illegal activities. What if you get caught? I'll find you a nice girl with this money, and we can have a wedding by the end of the year." "Mom, I don't want to marry a country girl." Tang Man Tong protested. He wanted to marry a cultured city girl. A slap landed on his head, making his head spin. "What's wrong with country girls? I'm from the countryside, and so are you. Do you look down on them? With your laziness, country girls wouldn't even want to marry you." Grandma Tang scolded fiercely, determined to correct her son's misguided thoughts. Tang Man Tong protected his head and remained silent. If he spoke up, his mother would surely hit him harder. But he wouldn't give in. He was determined to marry a delicate city girl. He would make it happen. Grandma Tang scolded until her throat was dry before stopping to prepare dinner. However, her hand shot out like lightning, grabbing Tang Man Tong's waistband, making him shout, "Mom, what are you doing?" "I'm 25. Let go. Are you going to hand it over, or do I have to take it?" Grandma Tang wouldn't let go and tugged at his waistband. "Mom, I really don't have any more." Tang Man Tong's voice grew softer until he reluctantly said, "Mom, turn around." Grandma Tang smugly huffed, turned around, and started counting 1, 2, 3.
Done.
As soon as she finished counting, she turned back. Tang Man Tong's hand was still in his pants, his face